Most gracious and merciful God, we give you thanks and praise for this morning and waking us up this morning and bringing us to this appointed hour. Lord, we ask for your guidance and your mercy and your presence as we go forth in this meeting. Be with these, the Cobb County Commissioners and the leaders and the people, that your work will be done, that the work will be done with clarity of mind, with compassion, with kindness, and most of all, with the love of you. For we are all your people, Lord, and we give you thanks and praise for the purposeful work that will go forth this morning. Be with your people, Lord, and guide them as they work through the issues of this day. And Lord, we'll be so happy to always give you all honor, glory, and praise. It's in Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And now for a pledge.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, so we are going to call our meeting to order now, and I will turn my attention over to our zoning director, John Peterson, to lead us in our agenda.
And thank you, Madam Vice Chair. Today's hearing will be conducted with the following process and procedure. Each case will be called in numerical order. When the case is called, we would ask that the applicant please stand and raise their hand to show that they are in attendance. After that, we're going to call to see if there's anyone here opposed to that specific case. We would also ask that the opposition please stand and raise their hand so they can be counted for the official record. After recognizing both parties will be asked to come forward to be sworn in. The applicant will testify first, and then the opposition, if any, will testify second. It's important to note that each side only gets 10 minutes to state their case and concerns. There's not a process to reserve your time or to rebut what was said previously, so you need to convey all your information to the board within your 10-minute time period. Additionally, if there's more than one person here wishing to speak on a case, you may want to coordinate with each other about what you're going to talk about, because each side only gets 10 minutes and you want to cover the same information over and over. After that, the board will start to discuss the case at hand. From the discussion, they may ask one or more speakers to come back to the front for additional comments or questions. After that, the board will make a decision to either approve, deny, hold, or continue the matter at hand. Today's printed agenda has 2 withdrawn cases. Both these cases are withdrawn without prejudice and will not be heard. First case is rezoning case Z34 of 2024, Driven Collision LLC. This case has been withdrawn without prejudice and will not be heard today. Second case is other business item number 8 of 2024, Terry Kastner. This case was withdrawn without prejudice and will not be heard today. There are a number of cases on today's printed agenda which have been either continued or held, and these cases will not be heard either. First case is rezoning case Z15 of 2023, SDP Acquisitions LLC. This case was continued by the staff until the August 20th, 2024 Board of Commissioners zoning hearing. So Z15 of 2023 will not be heard today. Rezoning case Z2 of 2024, Flournoy Development Group LLC. This case was continued by the staff until the September 3rd, 2024 Planning Commission zoning hearing. So Z2 of 2024 will not be heard today. Rezoning case Z9 of 2024, Thomas Orrick. This case was continued by the staff until the August 6th, 2024 Planning Commission zoning hearing. So Z9 of 2024 will not be heard today. Rezoning case Z25 of 2024, LCD Acquisitions LLC, Town Park Renaissance LLC. This case was continued by the staff until the August 20th, 2024 Board of Commissioners zoning hearing. So Z25 of 2024 will not be heard today. Rezoning case Z30 of 2024, Bentley Residential Properties LLC, Summer Hour Properties LLLP, estate of James W. Bentley, James W. Bentley Jr. This case was continued by the staff until the August 20th, 2024 Board of Commissioners zoning hearing. So Z30 of 2024 will not be heard today. Rezoning case Z32 of 2024, Emily G. Dunn. This case was continued by the staff until the August 6th, 2024 Planning Commission zoning hearing. So Z32 of 2024 will not be heard today. SLEP 6 of 2024, LCD Acquisitions LLC, Town Park Renaissance LLC. This case was continued by the staff until the August 20th, 2024 Board of Commissioners zoning hearing. So SLEP 6 of 2024 will not be heard today. Madam Vice Chair and Board, I did get some requests to continue some other cases late in the day. First case that would like to continue is rezoning case Z33 of 2024 of Dwyer Properties LLC. Madam Vice Chair and Board, the applicant needs a little bit more time to refine the application. So the staff would ask that rezoning case Z33 be continued until your August 20th Board of Commissioners zoning hearing.
Commissioner?
Thank you. I make a motion to continue Z33 2024 to the August 20th Board of Commissioners meeting.
Second.
And discussion?
If the clerk could please record my statements and also reference to the other item. Yes, thank you.
All right. Is that it for discussion? Thank you. Call to question. And the motion carries. Motion carries 4-0. Four yeses with one abstention. Chairwoman is absent. 4 yeses, Commissioner Sheffield, Commissioner Burrow, Commissioner Richardson, and Commissioner Gambrill.
Okay. Next case is other business, item number 31 of 2024, Whataburger. The applicant does need some more time on this one to continue the work on the architectural and landscaping plans. So the staff would ask the board to continue other business, item number 31, until your August 20th zoning hearing day.
And Commissioner Burrow.
Yes, I would like to make a motion to continue OB 31 to the August 20th zoning hearing.
Second.
Discussion. Call to question. Motion carries with 4 yeses and 1 absent. Chairwoman Cupid absent with Commissioner Sheffield, Burrell, Richardson, and Gambrill, and yes, voting support.
Okay, and lastly, the applicant for other business, item number 42, Portico Properties Incorporated, is requesting continuance to take a look at some development issues, Madam Vice Chair and Board. So the staff would ask the board to continue other business, item number 42, until your August 20th zoning hearing day.
And Commissioner Burrow again.
Yes, John, can you ask if there's anyone here in opposition or in favor of?
Okay, is there anyone here opposed to other business, item number 42 of 2024, Portico Properties, Inc.? Please raise your hands. We got 3. Okay, let the record show there's 3 people here opposed. Is there anyone here in support of this application? Okay, let the record show there's no one here in support, and it's back to the board.
Okay, is the applicant's attorney here?
Yes, he
I'm
is.
looking. Mr. Moore, you're hiding back there. There are some representatives here from Asbury Point, and I know we had some additional information from staff from questions that they may have had with the stream buffer and some other issues with erosion also. I will be happy to continue this. I did give them a little bit of warning, but late to continue this. So, but I wanted to, give them an opportunity to say they were here in opposition. So you may want to reach out to Asbury Point and see what their concerns are. So I make a motion to continue other business 42 to the August meeting.
Second.
Is there a question from John or legal? Okay, great. Discussion? Call to question. Motion carries 4 yeses with 1 absent. Chairwoman Cupid. Thank you.
Okay, and before we start the hearing, I would like to ask the folks in today's audience, if you have a cell phone, please put the volume on mute. When the phones ring, it does interfere with the broadcast and presentations. And I want to remind applicants, opposition, or any interested party that information is due to this board the Wednesday prior to this hearing. Any information submitted after the Wednesday due date may or may not be considered by the board at their discretion. And with that, Madam Vice Chair and Board, I'm ready to start the consent agenda. Cobb County Board of Commissioners zoning hearing consent agenda for July 16th, 2024. First case on consent is rezoning case Z31 of 2024. CarMax Auto Superstore, Inc. requests a rezoning from R20 to CRC for used auto sales in Land Lot 208 of the 20th District. The property is located on the south side of Quarry Road, west of Greer's Chapel Road. The Planning Commission recommends approval of Z31 to the CRC zoning district, subject to the following conditions. A, letter of agreeable conditions from Mr. David C. Kirk dated June 24, 2024. B, District Commissioner to approve the final site plan. C, buffer to be a 20-foot landscape buffer. D, no outdoor storage of vehicle parts. E, Fire Department comments and recommendations. F, Water and Sewer Division comments and recommendations. G, Stormwater Management Division comments and recommendations. And H, Department of Transportation comments and recommendations. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to rezoning case Z31? Let the record show there's no one opposed. LUP 20 of 2024, St. Andrew UMC, requests a temporary land use permit to allow a farmer's market in land lots 371, 372, 421, and 422 of the 16th District. The property is located on the west side of Canton Road and on the south side of Blackwell Circle. The Planning Commission recommends approval of LUP 20 for 24 months, subject to the following conditions. Number one, letter of agreeable conditions from Blackwell Farmers Market received by the Zoning Division on April 18, 2024. 2, hours of operation shall be from 8:30 a.m. to 1 p.m. Saturday only. 3, all parking shall be in a church parking lot. 4, total square footage of proposed signs not to exceed 20 square feet. 5, site plan review comments and recommendations. 6, fire department comments and recommendations. 7, Department of Transportation comments and recommendations. And number 8, staff comments and recommendations not otherwise in conflict. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to LEP 20? Let the record show there's no one opposed. SLEP 7 of 2024, CarMax Auto Superstore, Inc. requests a special land use permit for used auto sales in Land Lot 208 of the 20th District. The property is located on the south side of Quarry Road, west of Greer's Chapel Road. The Planning Commission recommends approval of SLUP 7, subject to the following conditions. A, letter of agreeable conditions from David C. Kirk dated June 24, 2024. B, District Commissioner to approve the final site plan. B, buffer to be a 20-foot landscape buffer. D, no outdoor storage of vehicle parts. E, Fire Department comments and recommendations. F, Water and Sewer Division comments and recommendations. G, Stormwater Management Division comments and recommendations. And H, Department of Transportation comments and recommendations. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to SLEP 7? Let the record show there's no one opposed. And moving into other business cases on the consent agenda. First case is other business item number 37 of 2024, which is to consider a reduction in required public road frontage from 75 feet to 0 feet and variances for Reginald C. Black. The property is located off a private easement on the south side of Wright Road in Land Lot 376 of the 19th District. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, letter from Mr. Rob Hosak dated June 17, 2024. And number 2, variances as stated in the other business item. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 37? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Other business item number 39 of 2024 is to consider a reduction in required lot size from 20,000 square feet to 11,250 square feet and to consider other variances for Darrell Harris. The property is located on the west side of Joyner Avenue, south of Austell Road, in Land Lot 281 of the 17th District. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, stormwater management comments contained in the other business item. And number 2, variances as stated in the other business item. Is the applicant present? Is the applicant here for other business item number 39, Darrell Harris? Is there anyone here opposed to this case? Okay. Madam Vice Chair and Board, the applicant is not present and there's no one here to oppose it.
Commissioner, would you like to keep it on consent? Keep it on consent?
Yes, can we try to reach the applicant?
Yeah, we'll try to give him a call.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll put that one on hold right now. Okay. Other business item number 40 of 2024 is consider a reduction of required lot size from 20,000 square feet to 5,732 square feet, a reduction of public road frontage from 75 feet to 49.84 square feet, and a house size variance for Oscar Azaria. The property is located on the east side of Joyner Avenue, south of Austell Road, in land lot 282 and 295 of the 17th District. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, fire department comments contained in the other business item. Number 2, Cobb DOT comments contained in the other business item. And 3, variances as stated in the other business item. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 40? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Next case is other business item number 41 of 2024, which is consider amending the site plan and stipulations for Jen Santelli regarding rezoning application Z111 of 2000. The property is located on the southwest side of Ernest Barrett Parkway, north of Powder Springs Road, and on the east side of Laura Brown Way, in land lot 790 of the 19th District. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number 1, Cobb DOT comments contained in the other business item. Number 2, site plan received June 11th, 2024, with the District Commissioner approving minor modifications. And number 3, all previous stipulations not in conflict with this amendment to remain in effect. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 41? Okay, let the record show there's no one opposed. And that completes the consent agenda, Madam Vice Chair and Board.
Thank you. And question to the other commissioners. Are there any, okay. Commissioner Burrow?
John, I had one that I was going to move to consent.
Okay, let me go ahead and call that case real quick. Rezoning case Z29 of 2024, Creators Group Investments 1 LLC requests a rezoning from R20 to RSL for residential senior living, non-supportive residential units in land lot 18 of the 20th District. The property is located on the east side of Wade Green Road, north of Meadow Oak Drive. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to rezoning case Z29 of 2024? Madam Vice Chair and Board, there's no one here opposed to Z29.
And I had a few steps. I think, is Mr. Moore the attorney for the applicant?
Yes, he is.
I need you to come up to make sure you're good with these. I wanted to add maximum of 39 homes, 10% rental cap, and the final site plan and elevations to be approved by District Commissioner. No variances, PC and staff comments not otherwise in conflict.
Yes, Commissioner, those are agreeable.
Okay. So we'll move that. Do we need a motion to move that to consent?
We need a motion to amend the consent agenda.
We didn't vote.
Okay. Do we need to read it, though, into the record? Well, I guess.
He just did.
Okay. All right. Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
And I thought we needed a motion to move it to consent. No?
We haven't voted on consent yet, so.
Okay.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay.
Commissioner Sheffield?
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair. I'd like to also add LUP 12, 2024 to consent, John.
Okay, go ahead and read that one in. Okay, LUP 12 of 2024, Reginald A. Rutherford requests a temporary land use permit to allow a business and related vehicle parking in land lots 1244, 1245, 1272, 1273, and 1319 of the 19th District. The property is located on the south side of Hiram Lithia Springs Road, east of Holman Road. Is the applicant present? Is the applicant here? Is there anyone here opposed to LUP 12? There's no one here opposed, Madam Vice Chair, and the applicant is not present.
As a courtesy, if we can reach out to the applicant.
Okay.
I'm still willing to leave it on consent. We've been at this, the PC has heard this several times, and
Okay, we'll try to give him
I
a call.
think we were able to work things out. Okay.
So will we just come back to that, or are we going to include that in the vote?
We're just going to leave that off consent for right now.
Okay.
And try to give him a call, see if he's going to come in and why he's not here.
Okay. Thank you.
Can,
Yes, there's no other cases to add to consent? No. Okay,
Did you have any?
okay.
no, but I have a question.
Okay.
Can we do another call for OB 39 if the applicant is present? Because 39 and 40 are on the same street and 40's here, and I didn't know if anybody knew about 39, because the other business don't go through planning commission, so they weren't told to be here 2 weeks later, because they weren't heard then. But
Okay, I'll call 39 again.
Carrie may have an update.
Yeah, I just got an update that the applicant is about 20 minutes away from the for a meeting for OB 39.
Okay.
We need to give up 12 a call too.
Okay, so we'll hold those off consent, and then we can add them back and when the applicant comes?
Yes.
Okay.
Okay. We'll have a separate motion for that then. Okay. If that's it, no other changes, requests, questions? Okay, great. Well, then we can go into our,
We have to vote.
oh yes, we have to vote.
It's okay.
Motion needs to be laid, I guess a motion to approve the consent agenda as revised.
Second.
Thank you. Discussion? Call to question? And the motion carries, 4 yeses and 1 absent, Chairwoman Cupid. Okay, now we can go on to our cases to be heard today.
Okay. And those folks that were approved on consent, you're free to leave. Thank you. And moving into the first case is going to be zone case Z15 of 2024, which is Dillon Investments LLC, request rezoning from LRO and R80 to LRO and R80 for professional office and a single-family residence in land lot 428 of the 19th District. The property is located on the north side of Macklin Road and on the west side of Villa Rica Road. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to rezoning case Z15?
Let's take a moment to clear the room.
Okay.
Okay, I think you can ask the question one more time, and then we'll go into the presentation. Okay. All right, we are clear. I think the question was just if there was any opposition. I wanted to make sure that everyone here heard the question. Okay, great. Proceed, Mr. Parks.
Good morning. For the record, my name is Parks Huff with the law firm of Sams, Lockton & Huff, and I represent the applicant in regards to this rezoning application before you. This is sort of a cleanup rezoning application to clear up some discrepancies in the original zoning that occurred several years ago. This is a picture of the subject property. It is at the intersection of Macklin Road and Villa Rica Road. It's an older home that has been converted and been used as an insurance agency office for many years. It has a commercial certificate of occupancy and was redone to meet all the commercial standards and to keep the residential character of that intersection, but allow a commercial use for it. The original zoning actually split the zoning with an LRO on the front and an R80 on the back, but the LRO portion was limited to the Dillon Insurance Agency only, which is a little problematic, and So it needs to be opened up to just general professional office, I shouldn't say general commercial. Professional office only uses is what it should be allowed for in that house that's been converted to commercial uses. As you can see here from this aerial, it is at the intersection of, a signalized intersection of two arterial roads. It is LRO on the front and then R80 in the back. This is an aerial showing the subject property. Again, you see the house that faces and interfaces with Macklin Road, which is being widened to 4 lanes all the way out through Paulding County. So it's a very heavily traveled road. Again, signalized intersection. But then it transitions as you go north to McEachern Farms area, which has been traditionally a very low density area. This is a current zone with LRO. We were asked to revise the site plan, and this is what we've submitted, showing a revised site plan with the LRO portion and the R80 portion a little more squared up than the original zoning and how it's handled today. This gives you an idea of the intersection when you look at the subject property and how it engages with and is close to the road. The zoning staff and the Planning Commission both recommended approval, subject to the LRO being professional office only. We're fine with all the conditions that were put on there. And we come before you with that recommendation. There has been some discussions there's been a neighbor down the road, down Villa Rica Road, that has filed an objection and questions and concerns. We've talked to them and assured them that the house would remain, residential character, and that the professional use would be consistent with what's been in there before. Professional office use has been in there before, but we also understand that there has been some questions and concerns and an idea to downzone this to R30 with limited professional services, something that was done on a Lower Rossville Road property fairly recently. So we do have concerns about that, but I think it can give us the uses that we need. One of the things that came out is that if it's zoned residentially, we need to make sure that the signage that's there can remain and be a good signage for people who would use that office so that they know exactly what it is and where to go to. So signage is appropriate under limited professional services. But we ask that you follow your Planning Commission recommendation, your staff recommendation for approval as LRO with R80. But if you do the limited professional services, we ask that you allow the professional offices uses to be generally allowed there without having to come back in, so that if it's released, it doesn't have to keep coming back in. Other business can take 60 to 90 days, and you can lose a tenant in that amount of time. So we just need to be able to consistently lease it for uses that you would anticipate in a professional office. So be glad to answer any questions that you have, and look forward to the discussion about the proposal. Thank you.
And being that there's no opposition, okay, so someone. Okay, I believe you'll need to be sworn in, though. Thank you. And just so that you know, you have 10 minutes to speak. The timer is on the podium.
Thank you. My name is Patrick Dodson. I represent Elizabeth Kinney. We had previously filed opposition to this proposal through a series of communications with Mr. Huff. We have basically reached an agreement as to withdrawing our opposition in exchange for one condition, and that condition being, and if I may, Mr. Huff, the existing single-family detached dwelling structure shall be limited to professional office use only, and it shall maintain the residential character, appearance, and facade of the single-family detached dwelling structure. That is the only condition that we have, and we have no other objection. Thank you.
Thank you very much. All right. Is there anyone else here to speak In opposition, there is a balance of 9 minutes and 20 seconds. Okay. Seeing that there are none, Commissioner Gambrill, you have the reins.
Thank you. Just a little history for the board and our viewers. In 2015 is when this parcel came before the board at that time. And the community did not oppose the use, but they did oppose the zoning because it was spot zoning at that time, and it still is today. But the only means to allow the Dillon Insurance Agency to go in this location was to rezone it to LRO and then limit it to the Dillon Insurance Agency only. And that's what Mr. Huff kind of referred to at the beginning of his statement when he said there was a discrepancy. It's not really a discrepancy, it was limited to that use only. This is a residential home at the intersection of a 4-lane divided highway, and it has been used to serve the community. In 2019, the county passed the limited professional services permit based on the specific successes we saw at the Dillon Insurance Agency at this location. So with that little bit of a background, I offer the following motion. Per the site plan dated June 12th of 2024, Tract A shall be deleted from LRO to R30. A limited professional services permit will be approved per section 134.29, deleting C5 requirement that the limited professional service permit shall be for a specific user and use only. The following definition shall be added under permitted uses of section 134.29. Professional offices means a structure wherein services are performed involving predominantly administrative, professional, or clerical operations such as the following: law, doctor, optician, audiologist, accounting, tax preparation, tutoring, real estate, stockbroker, architect, engineer, manufacturer representative, professional counselor, dentist, investigative services, photographer, insurance contractor, land surveyor, telephone sales, political campaign, veterinarian, and the applicant has already agreed to this, but no day boarding, or travel bureau. There shall be no outside storage of vehicles or heavy equipment on site, and all other sections of 134.39 shall apply. Or I'm sorry, 29 shall apply. They also need to adhere to the Macklin Road Design Guidelines, a 20-foot landscape buffer on Tract A adjacent to Tract B, the existing permitted signage, size, and location to remain. Now Tract B is going to be rezoned to R80 with the lot split recorded with the Superior Court Clerk no later than September 20th, 2024. And then the following conditions are applicable to both parcels: Fire Department comments and recommendations, Water and Sewer comments and recommendations, Stormwater Management Division comments and recommendations, DOT comments and recommendations, and the District Commissioner to approve final site plans and elevations.
Second. Sound like you opened as a motion. And discussion.
I do have a question for legal. Regarding the additional definitions to the code, is that just for this zoning, for this application, or for this?
The additional definitions, I'm not following, I'm sorry.
Yeah, the commissioner read in additional definitions to the LRO to include certain uses. And my question is, are those definitions for this application only?
I mean, I interpret it as being stipulations too, that included that. It doesn't add to the definition, but there would be a stipulation that those ones that she listed would be excluded.
Right, but she did say that included in the definition. Did you not say that?
And the reason why I said that, Commissioner Sheffield, is within the limited professional services code, there is a section that states what uses can be used under limited professional. The language that I read in, that I'd like included as a stipulation, is essentially directly from our low-rise office
Okay.
code. So what I was trying to do is give the property owner a little bit more flexibility
Gotcha,
as far
okay.
as what could go there,
Okay.
because limited professional services is a little bit more limiting. So just kind of giving them a little broader
Mm-hmm. Okay.
range.
Thanks for the clarification.
John?
And Commissioner Gamble, I know you did mention the part about signage, and I tried to find it before the hearing. I could not find the existing sign permit. So it's zoned R30 with lips, correct? So in that zoning category, you're allowed to have 32 square feet of signage, 8 feet high in R30. So could we just clarify that that's the signage size, and just have you approve the final signage for the property?
So my understanding before the meeting was there was already a sign permit given for this property.
And I cannot locate that permit in the system at this point in time.
Okay, so do
So
I
for
need to?
R30, so just out of straight R30 zoning code, the maximum sign square footage is 32 square feet, maximum 8 feet in height. So I'll just ask the board or for you to just add it to your motion that the signage will be within those parameters and you to approve the final signage.
Okay.
And that's 32 square feet overall. So if they want to sign on Villa Ricker at 16 square feet and a sign on Macklin's going to be 16 square feet, so it's 32 square feet maximum.
Okay, so I guess Mr. Huff is standing here. Would you like me to change it to that, or, because I guess you don't have a permit for your existing sign?
Yeah, I don't have it in my records, and presumably it was permitted. I'm not sure whether 32, could we add it with that signage to be approved by the district commissioner? But I just don't know whether 32 square feet is going to be enough, because they may need signage on the house and on the, you want to make sure people know the driveway's there to pull in. So I just don't know whether that's enough size, so I'd like a little more flexibility on that.
But John, that's the max size for this zoning category, the 32 feet?
Yes, for R30,
Square
the
feet.
maximum sign you're allowed to have on your property is 32 square feet.
Okay, anything other than that would require a variance?
Yes.
Okay.
So John, what is the maximum size under the LRO code?
It's the same parameters. It's 32 square feet and 8 feet for LRO.
Okay, then we're fine with that. I just didn't have that.
Good question.
I know you have prohibited uses and other uses that are allowed under professional services, but are you going to have the final use or plan come back to you for the district commissioner for approval?
I was only going to have the final site plan and any renderings come back. Kind of the way I was viewing this is staff typically approves low-rise uses, and they do a great job. And so essentially, if the applicant comes in with something that, with staff's understanding of the LRO code, would allow it to go there.
Okay.
And if I can ask just a real quick clarification, because I want to make sure, because the county attorney said those uses are excluded. Actually, my understanding is those uses
permitted.
are included. I just wanted to make sure that.
Yeah, if I misspoke, I'm sorry, yeah.
The only thing then we agreed to that I added was that there's going to be no day boarding if it was a veterinarian office.
Yeah,
Okay, yeah. That was the only modification
There
to
were
the.
both.
So I need to amend my motion regarding to the signage to be a maximum of 32 square feet and 8 foot high for the property.
and would you mind adding the minor mod language?
Parks, you know how I feel about minor mods.
Guess you miss 100% of the shots. Second. Any other discussion related to the, okay, great, call to question. Fantastic, motion carries, 4 yeses with 1 absent, Chairwoman Cupid. Next up, C-26, John, lead us in.
Terry, has the applicant come in yet for the other business item, 39? No. Okay, we'll keep an eye out for him. And we did hear from the applicant for LUP 12, and he's out of town right now.
Okay, so I'll add that on consent, but we can do it all at the same time.
Okay.
Okay.
All right, next case we're going to hear is rezoning case Z26 of 2024, and GC Holdings LLC requests a rezoning from GC to NRC for convenience store fuel sales and retail in land lot 60 of the 16th district. The property is located on the south side of Jamerson Road and on the west side of Canton Road. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to rezoning case Z26? So we got 2. Okay, let's record show there's 2 people here opposed. All those who wish to address the board, please come forward to be sworn in.
Good morning. You ready?
Proceed.
Okay. Good morning. For the record again, my name is Parks Huff with Sam's Luck and Huff, and I represent the applicant in regards to this rezoning application before you this morning. This is subject property is at the intersection of Canton Road and Jamerson Road, signalized intersection. You can see from this aerial, both are multiple lanes, both arterial roads. This is very close to Cherokee County border, so as you go north, you're pretty quickly into the city of Woodstock and Highway 92. All 4 corners are commercially used. In fact, if you step out a little bit further, the other properties beyond the corners are all, a lot of them are sort of industrial type uses. There's a lot of industrial buildings in the area. There's a railroad track on the other side of Canton Road, on the other side of Jamerson Road. The property is zoned general commercial, something that would allow most uses, in fact, allow the uses that we're proposing here. But in the county's infinite wisdom, they decided to make the GC non-usable if it's outside of a community activity center or a regional activity center, and this is a neighborhood activity center. So the GC is an existing pharmacy that's been closed for many years, so it's lost its grandfathering use. It has to come in for zoning. This is similar to what happened just catty corner to this. You saw just a few months ago, Z60 is catty corner to this, and that came in to rezone to NRC, which is what we're doing here, taking the GC, which is a valid zoning category, but it's not usable because of the land use designation, and applying for neighborhood retail commercial. This is the subject property. You can see it's a very nice building, and the goal is to be able to reuse the building. You saw last year a proposal come in with Quick Trip, proposed to make this a convenience store with fueling sales, and their proposal was to demolish the building and totally redevelop it as a convenience store, a Quick Trip branded convenience store. This proposal is to use the existing building and to not make it nearly as centric on auto fueling, but auto fueling is an important component of the proposal. I may have messed up somehow or something. So this is the site plan that Quick Trip had, showing the multiple fueling positions out front. There was 8 fueling islands, 16 fueling positions, and of course, total redevelopment of the subject property. The subject property is accessed with a driveway on Jamerson Road, and there's a driveway on Canton Road. There's interparcel access between both driveways. The property to the south is developed with a restaurant and a couple other food uses, and it has the driveway on Canton Road. We have an easement to use that driveway, just like they have an easement to use the driveway at Jamerson Road. So it goes both directions. This is the site plan that we originally submitted, showing the building being converted with convenience store use on the front. And then this was the 5 fueling positions, or five fueling islands, 10 positions that was originally proposed. We were asked if we could reduce it to 4, with the belief that that would be what would be acceptable. So we did reduce it to 4. So it's 4 fueling positions, or 4 fueling islands, 8 positions. And again, it is only a component of the development, but very important, because what you want to do with the remaining building is make it a viable retail center, and having the traffic that retail convenience store brings will help invigorate and make it vital operation for the other retail spaces that are in there. So if you just made all of it just general retail, it's going to be harder to fill than if you've got this active use that brings people in. This is the property that is catty corner, that was Z60, and it was rezoned by this board this year to allow convenience stores. Now, this is the convenience store that sits on the other side of Canton Road, directly across from the subject property. So at this intersection, you have fueling on the other side of Canton Road. And what is really important to understand is, if you go back to this, if all the fueling is on the east side of Canton Road, if you're driving south, you have to turn left. If you have fueling at this intersection, if you're on Jamerson Road, let's say you're coming Jamerson Road east and turn south on Canton Road because you're going south, you can pull in on Jamerson Road to this to fuel. So having fueling on both sides of the road is real important. And the example I love to give is the gas stations at Old Canton and Roswell Road. You've got a Quick Trip on one side and a racetrack on the other, and it works very well because it limits left turning movements because you've gotten gas on both sides of the road. That's what you're doing here. Now, I understand that we have opposition that says we don't want fueling. I will say that I also represent the property owner, and every offer for this property that has been vacant for a long period of time as the pharmacy closed, every offer that has come in has included fueling. Most of them have been to totally redevelop it into a traditional, very active convenience store. This is a middle ground where you only have 4 fueling islands, 8 positions for fueling, is to capture the traffic that is already there. And I will state that it is a substantial financial hardship for this property to not allow fueling that has been allowed at the other 2 corners of this intersection. So I don't know logically what reason you would have to not allow it. There was some statements about the driveways, but there is a driveway shared driveway, and the county encourages shared driveways and interparcel access because we all benefit from rather than 2 driveways on Canton Road serving both of these, either property, you've got 1 driveway serving both. That's how you do it. Your DOT has recommended approval, or your professional staff has recommended approval. Your DOT has looked at this and has made some recommendations, just like they did to the Z60. They made recommendations related to that, and we would be compliant with all the DOT recommendations. So there's no logical reason other than we just think there's enough fueling on Canton Road, and that's not a reason to deny zoning. That's not a reason to deny the valid use of a property that's currently zoned GC and quite frankly should just be allowed to be used as GC. But being able to come in and ask for NRC, and fueling is an appropriate use under NRC. Jamerson Road has 13,000 cars a day. Canton Road has 20,000 cars a day. That's where you put fueling, at the signalized intersection where you've got two major traffic corridors. If you listen to the opposition's arguments, you would put convenience stores in low-traffic areas where you don't have much traffic. That makes zero sense. Yes, there's traffic that enters this site, as your DOT recommendation or DOT staff analysis shows that it does. But what it does is it captures traffic that's already on Canton Road to come in and fuel. It gives people a fueling option, and that is what government should do, is be able to give the traveling public options. And if they choose to use this one, then that competition is what drives good businesses and good businesses that are responsive to the community. It would be unconstitutional to not allow fueling, which is a permitted use. The NRC uses, if you can imagine, if this were a couple convenient or a couple of fast food restaurants, that would contribute a lot more traffic and actually bring traffic to the area, because you might drive to a Whataburger, but you don't drive to fuel. You fuel on your normal driving routes. So this is a situation where it's a permitted use under NRC. There's no reason to exclude it. You've just approved it catty corner just this year, allowing fueling, and there's no logical reason not to allow the traveling public the option to fuel on this side of Canton Road. I am here to answer any questions you have, but this is a situation where, quite frankly, we shouldn't be coming in to rezone a piece of property that has a commercial building on it. It's optional commercial, but that's the game we play, and there's absolutely no logical reason to not allow fueling at this station. Thank you. Location, thank you.
Thank you. Opposition? Question?
Good morning. My name is Lawton Jordan from the law firm of Williams Tusink. I represent the owner of the adjoining property, the shopping center where there's a Vespucci's Italian restaurant, there's a Planet Smoothie, and a Ray's Donuts. I'll tell you the logical reason for opposing this. The logical reason is this property has a shared driveway with my client. This use of a gas station is going to create more than 2,000 trips a day. You have a thriving shopping center with limited parking, and you're going to have a gas station with over 2,000 trips a day. Not every one of those will come through my client's parking, but a lot of them will. And those that come through will be making a U-turn off of Canton Road into my client's property. We have met with Commissioner Burrell on this property. I thank her for her time. We've been out there, but the use this will put on my client's property is excessive. And one of the main criteria, as you all know, in a zoning is the effect on adjoining properties. And the effect it's going to have on my client's business and his two tenants, the donut shop and the smoothie restaurant, is excessive. Now, they're going to say, well, that's not our fault. Well, it's not their fault, but the property owner initially entered into this agreement. They voluntarily encumbered their property in this way. And applying this criteria, I think it's without a doubt that this will have a very negative impact on these three businesses. And I think it's perfectly constitutional for you to consider the impact on the businesses in reaching your decision. And I would point out that the catty corner property that he refers to does not have that limitation, does not have the shared parking or the shared driveway with adjoining businesses. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, additional speakers? There's a balance of 8 minutes and 6 seconds.
Good morning. For the record, I'm Carol Brown with Canton Road Neighbors. If you could, you've seen this before, and you're going to hear pretty much the same things. So even though this was a better use than the former Quick Trip, some of the challenges remain. This is still a small site at 1.65 acres, and it is a very busy signalized intersection. The driveway is too close to the center, to the signalized intersection on Canton Road. This shows you the close proximity of subject property to the restaurants. I want to drill down a little bit on why although Mr. Jordan stated it very well, on why this is not going to work. There's the Jamerson Road entrance. And I think coming up, you're going to see me turning into the restaurant property. You travel some 90 feet before you ever get to subject property. You won't get to subject property until you go past that wall. Now, you consider the volume of traffic that's going to be going through there. Not only the volume of traffic of 2,000 or 2,500 vehicles per day, in addition to the 600 vehicles per day that the retail use would bring, but you have to compare the amount of time that customers will spend at a gas pump, which averages 10 minutes at a gas pump, versus if they were going to a market to shop, probably a minimum of 20 to 30 minutes, versus going to a restaurant, which could be up to an hour. So it's the combination of the very tight fit between the two sites, the shared access driveway, but which causes customers to subject property to actually travel through the adjacent property right next to their parking. And then the short amount of time that they would spend at the fuel pumps, and they would be coming right back out. This is what makes it so challenging and unfair. Now, this is a shot of the Quick Trip on Sandy Plains at Canton Road, and you can see that there's a shared entrance, but it's actually a roadway that goes all the way from Sandy Plains back to Canton Road, and there's a fairly steady stream of traffic going in and out. This is fairly unique in that there's nothing in between to separate the convenience store from the existing business. They're just right there, close to each other. And I would also add that this particular intersection is used by not only commuters, but by parents and young student drivers who are going to Cal High School. And these turning movements in and out of this particular intersection are going to make traffic even more challenging. The service station across the street, which was Z60, has been in, it was built in 1986. And the only reason it came in was to allow them to rebuild their convenience store. What you would be doing with subject property is creating a brand new third C-store with fuel sales at this intersection, which, by the way, would make it convenience store with fuel sales number 12 on the 4.5-mile stretch of Canton Road. Now, we believe that's overserved, and there are additional gas stations heading southbound on Canton Road, plenty of them. I submitted a letter of stipulations dated May 20th, but let me see if I can find this and read it in. We do believe that the landowner deserves a viable economic zoning, and we would support giving this zoning, giving this neighborhood retail commercial for retail and professional offices, subject to the following. Excluded uses to include convenience store with fuel sales, automotive uses, pawn or title pawn, contractor is a special exception, no outdoor storage, no heavy equipment, modification of site plan or amendment of stipulations to come before the BOC as other business. Hours of operation, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m., 7 days a week. Adherence to Canton Road design guidelines. Canton Road driveway to be limited to 3/4 turns, no left northbound turn exits. Staff comments and recommendations, not otherwise in conflict. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Are there any other speakers in opposition? All right, with that, I will turn the mic over to Commissioner Pearl.
Thank you. Before I'd first like to call Lahia up from DOT.
Good morning, Ligia Flores, DOT.
Good morning. Lahia, can you speak to if this were approved as a fuel sales and convenience store, the impact of the traffic at Jamerson and Canton with the existing, without anything on that site, adding to the current conditions, but also the impact to Kell High School, which is down Jamerson, not far from here. I'd say within a mile radius at minimum or maximum. And also, I'd like to enter for the record the crash data to show the intensity of the traffic and accidents already here with a vacant Rite Aid building and the uses proposed.
Okay, well, thank you for all those questions. Let's see if I can get it. So this proposed development is bringing in 2,500, which is already mentioned, about 2,500 new trips. Let me correct that. It's not new trips to this site. Of those, based on standards, we know that 76% of these trips are going to be people that are already on the road. So that's what the traffic study is telling us. And let me step back a little bit. We had a traffic study performed by the consultant, the applicant, for a more intense use last year. Therefore, we did not require them to do one for this one because it's about half of the intensity of the original proposal. Having said that, let me go back to that. So the new trips are only, are substantially less than the 2596. So they're already on the road. However, for the actual location, yes, you're going to see 2,500 trips going in and out of that development, of that site. So that's where you're going to see the most effort. The traffic study revealed that all of the intersections in the existing, based on the existing conditions and the future, will be performing at an acceptable level, which could mean a D, right? Because in a location such as this, which is developed already, we expect that D is acceptable per standards. So D or above is acceptable. And that's what we found out from the traffic study for the previous proposal. However, the site itself will be affected, as has been already mentioned. That shared driveway will be performing at a substandard level. And therefore, we, after talking to the consultant and the applicant, we came up with a mitigation, which is to prohibit the left turn out of the Canton Road access driveway, so that those left turners that are about 16% of the people that are going to be leaving that site are left turners. But if one left turner is there, it backs up that queue even more, that line of people waiting for that one left turn. All of the right turners will be stuck there for a longer time. So the mitigation is to prohibit those left turns out so that everybody has to make a right and the line can be flowing faster. So that's where you will see the major concern. It will be at that driveway. And that mitigation seems to bring the performance of that driveway to an acceptable level again. Once you close that left turns, it should be a D or above again. Will the property owners that are already there be affected? Yes, because they will see more traffic that they don't see today. So that is a fact. However, for standards, they will be performing at an acceptable level. Now, with the school, I don't think we have considered the school. That is a new point that I have not determined. So we can study that or determine how it will affect the school, if anything.
Okay. And I was going to ask you about the access on Canton Road. I know that it's full access currently,
Yes, ma'am.
but DOT is recommending a left in, but no left out.
Correct.
And that's also the proximity to the signal at the intersection.
Yes,
It
ma'am.
doesn't meet the distance requirement as well.
That's correct.
Will that be determined in plan review as far as no left out, or
No, it will be stipulated
that's your
today, and it will be
recommendations
enforced.
now?
Yes,
Okay.
ma'am.
Okay. I'd like to enter for the record the crash data for the intersection. And then, that's all I had for DOT. I don't know if y'all have any issues, questions?
Lygia, I'm not sure if you're going to be able to answer this, but with the current use of the pharmacy that was there, about how many car trips a day does the pharmacy at that location generate?
Yes, give me a second, and I do have that in the traffic study. So the Walgreens was generating 1411 total trips, as opposed to 25. So
So this is about double
yes, ma'am.
or more.
12,000.
Okay. Also, in meeting with Mr. Jordan and his clients, there is a strip center that shares the driveway from Canton. And with the traffic and the use of fuel sales and convenience store, it will impact that strip center. So I went back to their original zoning, which was Z57 of 2007, and I will enter their application and minutes for the record and comments. But one of the prohibited uses for the strip center was fuel sales and convenience stores. Also, they were required to have 25 parking spaces, because I know that that's been discussed as far as adequate parking, and they have 26. So they meet those requirements. And I'd like to enter that for the record as well. So that's all I had for Lahia.
I do have one just question for clarification. I think I missed it. Is the grade of the intersection today a level D as well?
Say that again?
The grade for the intersection today, is it also at a D?
Service level.
It depends on the time of day. So there is a time of day of the Jamerson in certain movements. I think it's the westbound left it fails in one of but is that the case today? So it's not because of this development. The development to the overall intersection is only putting in about 6 cars or changing and it's not changing the grade of the intersection.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
Okay. I'd also like to enter for the record Carol Brown's letter from May 20th, which you may have, but, and I think she had a petition that she was submitting today. Ms. Brown, do you have a petition you're submitting today on this case?
Please come up to the podium to answer that question.
I sent it electronically last night, and my
Right.
printer malfunctioned. And so I'm going to deliver the hard copy, but I did send an electronic copy of the petition with the signatures in Metro Atlanta in yellow, so I have no idea why people from points outside of Georgia would sign it, but you can't control what happens on a change petition. But
Okay.
she has it,
So she has it for the record, so
and I thank you for that courtesy.
Thank you.
thank you. Okay, so my motion will be to approve Z26 with the following, subject to the following conditions. Letter of agreeable stipulations from Canton Road neighbors dated May 20th. List of prohibited uses include billiards or pool halls, vape and smoke shops, automotive uses, convenience stores with fuel sales, gun shops, pawn and title shops, massage parlors, and recycling collection location. 2 speed bumps to be added, 1 entering Jamerson Road and 1 along the borderline of the shopping center and the old Rite Aid property. Hours of operation, Monday through Sunday, 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. Staff comments and recommendations, Planning Commission recommendations, not otherwise in conflict. And final site plan to be approved by the district commissioner.
Second in discussion.
Just for clarity, Commissioner, you are approving the zoning request but denying the use.
Well, the use being
prohibited.
proposed is one of the prohibited uses.
Okay, thank you.
But it's being rezoned to NRC.
Right, okay, thanks.
And there's a question from Commissioner Gamble. Go ahead.
So just to follow up with Commissioner Sheffield, so are you approving it with the fuel sales or not?
No.
No, okay.
Fuel sales are and convenience stores are prohibited use.
Okay. Thank
I
you.
mean, you heard the intensity and the impact it will have to the businesses next door, the strip center, and also the traffic, the intensity of the traffic that would increase double-fold from what's there now, although it's vacant, not, it's been closed for a while. It would still double, more than double the impact to that area. I have a-
Bill?
I was just going to say, just for clarity, the chairwoman was not here for the presentation, and she's already communicated to me that she would not be participating at this time regarding a vote, so.
Thanks. Any other points for discussion?
Just one other clarification too. I think Mr. Parks referenced a gas station across the street that was in for rezoning earlier this year. That, as Ms. Brown said, has been there since the 80s. It was in for rezoning because they were giving it a facelift and making improvements, upgrades to the area, to the store, so.
It's already existing.
It was already existing. Thank you. That's my motion. And I think I had a second.
You did. Just want to make sure there are no more discussion points. Fantastic. Call to question. Motion carries with 4 yeses and 1 abstention, especially because I speak every time, with Chairwoman Cupid abstaining and Commissioner Sheffield, Burrell, Richardson, Gambrill voting yes. And before we move to the next case, want to do a consent agenda check, and then I'll hand the reins back over to the chairwoman. John?
Oh, yeah, the applicant has shown up for other business number 39. So
Okay.
if it's okay with the board, I'm going to read that back into the record. And I believe Commissioner Gambrill needed to make one change on a prior motion she made before we start that.
Okay, so then we need to go back and revisit that motion. What's the change?
So on my motion for Z15 of 2024, the correct reference to the limited professional services is 134.39, and I had said 29.
Okay. So does she need to make a motion to amend?
So I would like to make a motion to amend Z15 of 2024, the reference of the limited professional services from 134.29 to 134.39.
Second. Discussion? Call to question. Motion carries, four yeses with one abstention, Chairwoman abstaining, Commissioner Sheffield, Burrell, Richardson, and Gambrill voting yes. Now, for the consent agenda check.
Okay. Other business, item number 39 of 2024 is to consider a reduction in required lot size from 20,000 square feet to 11,250 square feet, and to consider other variances for Dara Harris. The property is located on the west side of Joyner Avenue, south of Austell Road, and land lot 281 of the 17th District. Staff recommends approval, subject to the following conditions. Number one, stormwater management comments contained in the other business item. And number two, variances as stated in the other business item. Is the applicant present? The applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 39? Let the record show there's no one opposed. So the board can make a motion to add that back to consent.
Burrell?
Yes. I make a motion to add OB 39 back to consent and approve.
Second.
Okay, discussion? Call to question. Motion carries 5-0. All commissioners voting yes.
Okay, and earlier, we did call one case for LUP 12 of 2024, Reginald A. Rutherford, and he was not present, and he's actually out of town on vacation. So if the board's okay with it, I think the district commissioner would like to leave this on consent. So what I'm going to do is read it back into the record, and then Commissioner Sheffield can just add your conditions to it. Okay? LUP 12 of 2024, Reginald A. Rutherford requests a temporary land use permit to allow a business and related vehicle parking in land lots 1244, 1245, 1272, 1273, and 1319 of the 19th District. The property is located on the south side of Hiram Lithia Springs Road, east of Holland Road. The applicant is not present. Is there anyone here opposed to LUP 12 of 2024? Let the record show there's no one opposed, and it's back to the board.
Commissioner Sheffield?
Thank you. I'd like to make a motion to add LUP 12, 2024 to the consent agenda to include the Planning Commission's recommendations of June 4th, 2024.
Second.
Discussion? No other stipulations on that here? All right, discussion. No. Call to question. Motion carries 5-0 with all commissioners voting yes.
Okay. Looks like we're on Z27 now. Rezoning case Z27 of 2024, Richard Barrick, Ritchie BS LLC, request rezoning from O&I to NRC for a professional office, which is a contractor, and warehouse in land lot 493 of the 16th District. The property is located on the southwest side of Chance Road and on the north side of Shaw Park Road. Is the applicant present? Is the applicant here for Z27, Richard Barwick? Okay, applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to rezoning case Z27? One. Okay, there's one person opposed. Will the applicant in opposition please come forward to be sworn in?
Good morning.
Morning.
You may begin whenever you're ready. You'll have 10 minutes to present your matter.
Okay. All right. My
Please
name is
state,
Richard.
yeah, good, you're going. Go right ahead, sir.
Is the timer already started?
You have,
Oh, okay. My name is Richard Borwick, owner of Ritchie B's LLC. I also own RGC Construction, commercial general contractor. I want to be clear, this is not a warehouse building. I was unable to attend the PC hearing, so I'm not sure how the folks in the Planning Commission if they had the correct site plan or not. Based on what I watched on Cobb TV, it led me to believe they did not have the revised site plans as I had submitted after my first meeting with officials at the zoning office to better accommodate the requests and feedback which I had received on the initial concept site plan.
I also feel there may be have been some miscommunication conveyed by my representative who was present for the PC hearing, as well as a misunderstanding by Christine Lindstrom on the Planning Commission. It was almost like she had no memory of the 3 phone conversations we had had prior to the hearing describing what I'm going for here. I want to be clear, the intention is for this building to look very similar to the adjacent library. It will be a 2-story rectangular building with fiber cement siding and storefront type windows and entrance doors. It will have a sleek modern look, not at all like an industrial building as people seem to feel it will look like for some reason. The individual who spoke as the opposition at the PC hearing was under the impression that this will be an 8,000 square foot building that is 2 stories. In actuality, the footprint of the building is a mere 3,600 square feet, and a portion of the building will be 2 stories of office space. There should be no concerns about stormwater as we have a retention pond on site. There are no state waters, streams, etc. on the site, as I have had the ditch evaluated and have a letter stating so from an environmental firm as directed by a county official in the development department. Currently, my company, which we plan to occupy this office, we have 6 employees, 4 of which sometimes work in the office. The general public does not use the office. People who are not employees that come to the office are clients that are generally at scheduled meetings. I have had a total of 3 non-employees come by my current office in the past month, which is located at 1951 Canton Road nearby. And one of those people, the 3, was a landlord picking up his rent check. The goal is for the appearance of this building to blend in with the other buildings and have a low-key ambiance. There's very little come-and-go traffic because the majority of our business takes place on construction sites, not at the office. We manage construction projects, not do the actual construction. If that does not make sense to you, please ask questions. I'm happy to explain it. We do not want a fence or a dumpster pad. We simply put those on the plan to show it as optional in case you require to have those, us to have those items. The parking lot is shown to have an option of asphalt or pervious pavers. All impervious requirements are met with this proposal. The reason OI does not work for our desired use is because we need a large room to put extra leftover building materials left over from projects that we can use on future projects. OI will not allow me to put a large roll-up door on the side of a building, will it? The purpose of the roll-up door is to be able to pull a pickup truck, standard pickup truck that everyone probably rides in on a daily basis, not an industrial large box truck or anything like that. So that way we can pull right up to the roll-up door, unload a few, 2x4s or door frames, things like that, by hand, not using machinery and not have to carry them through an office full of hallways and people on computers. I did bring, if it's admissible, I took pictures of my current office now so you guys can have a better understanding, because they seem to just think we were going to be rolling in dump trucks and heavy equipment at the Planning Commission. Is that admissible for me to give these? So basically, I have photos of, there is some of the Ritter's Library, which what be my building will look like, similar. It'll be a rectangle with the storefront type windows, 2-story, like Ritter's Library, Gritters, I'm sorry if I mispronounce it. And then you'll be able to see, I have pictures of yesterday morning and yesterday afternoon of how many vehicles are out front in the strip mall. And one of those vehicles is actually not ours, the Dodge Ram truck. But you'll be able to see how much parking we have there with the current employees I have now. I'm sure my company will grow, but that's the current situation. Also, you can see how I have building materials kind of stuck behind couches in the waiting room, and like the receptionist area. Yes, right there. That was, does that say in the? 7:15. That was in the morning right there, yesterday. That's our storefront. That's how much parking we have utilized right now. So if we could go to the next one, sir. That was in the afternoon. So those 3 vehicles there, that's myself and my employees. And then here, you walk right in the door. See, I have some plywood off a job I'll probably use on another job. I've got, some boxes stacked up of doorknobs, things like that. So you can see the building materials. If we go to the next one, sir. Here's more. There's some carpets. I got, I don't know what's in those boxes, but that's left over off renovating one of the fire stations here in Marietta. Yeah, I have ramps, so I have to keep them in the hallway. You see in the back there, I've got a bunch of junk because that's where I have my storage room in the back. We could go to the next one, sir. This is just basically a closer look. See, I got boxes of screws. I have some damp proofing in a bucket there. We could go to the next one, sir. I got some coolers. I have construction plans. I've got, I don't know what other materials I have in there, but you kind of get the gist. If we could go to the last photo, sir. Right here, there's door frames, drywall tape. I got some conduit. I had some, boxes in the back there. That's the extent of what I'm looking to store in this flex space. We're not getting pallets of flooring. We're not getting cabinets shipped in. It's basic stuff. So I want to be clear. Let me see where I left off here. Okay. Due to the low amount of traffic activity, there should be no present danger to any users or pedestrians of the park and library. There are no large deliveries of construction materials, no industrial type traffic. Solely passenger cars and pickup trucks will be in the parking lot. One thing DOT mentioned in the PC hearing was that the driveway did not meet standards where it was positioned. The representative said the driveway needed to be 50 feet from the nearest intersection. So I scaled the plans, and it shows it right at 50 feet from the intersection. However, I am happy to move this a little farther away from the intersection. If you look at the entrance there, I move it over to the left a little bit. That's not a problem. Happy to do it for you guys. I want to stress that the appearance of the building will be similar to the adjacent library. It will be rectangular. It will be painted in earthy color so it can blend in with the library. It will have fiber cement siding, similar to houses with lap siding. For those of you who may not know what fiber cement siding is, your basic hardy plank. There will be no metal siding on this building. The windows and doors will have the appearance similar to the library with black framing around fixed glass, also known as storefront type. So please express your concerns, as I feel this building will not present any dangers to society, eyesores, or have any negative effect on the surrounding areas. That's all I've got.
Thank you, sir. Is there anyone else here who wants to speak in support of this application? There's a balance of about 1 minute and 30 seconds on the clock. Okay, seeing none, sir, we'll have opposition now come up and speak. Well, you okay? Yes. All right.
Thank you. For the record, I'm Carol Brown with Canton Road Neighbors. I'm just going to show you a little slideshow. Okay. This is subject property. This is an aerial GIS yesterday from Google Earth, and I think that you can see that this is, I don't know if you're able to see, but Chance Road is the entrance into Shaw Park, and subject property is right there in the curve of Chance Road, and as you get onto the Park Road, you'd be facing the New Gritters Library. It's my understanding that Shaw Park Road is going to be closed and become parking. So there's only going to be the one entrance on Chance Road into Shaw Park and Gritters Library. And this would be basically what you're seeing right across the street from subject property. And there are tennis courts back there in the background. This is the New Gritters Library under construction. These are ball fields and playground and tennis courts. In short, this is a beloved public space for the Canton Road community. The library and the park are heavily patronized, and at almost any time of the day or year, you can go and you can see people walking, very young children, people riding their bikes, on scooters, walking their dogs, pushing babies in strollers. And this would be, if you're backward towards the New Gritters Library, looking at Chance Road going out, what you would see there is the site of subject property where they want a two-story warehouse, or whatever you want to call it. And all I'm going to do is to ask you to consider whether this is really an appropriate use right at the entrance to this heavily used public space. I thank you for your time.
Thank you. Is there anyone else that desires to speak in opposition? Okay, so seeing none, we'll turn things over to the District Commissioner.
Thank you. The application for this is proposed use professional office contractor warehouse. And I think the applicant said that there was some misinformation or misconception of what was actually going there. But I know he's talked to Planning and Zoning Division staff, my planning commissioner, Ms. Lindstrom, and I don't appreciate the threats he made to her. And I know Ms. Brown has submitted reference to the opposition for this. Chance Road is a local curvy, winding road coming into Shaw Park and Gritter's Library. Any use as far as trucks coming in and out, whether they're pickup trucks or dump trucks or 18-wheelers, is totally inappropriate for this location. Behind this coming in, it was a dentist's office, and now it's, I think, a counseling service, which, you know, appointments only, minimum traffic in and out, and it's set back from the actual library and the parking that will go there across the street from this, and Shaw Park, which is also going to be revitalized in the future on the SPLOST list. Our book says this is 5,200 square feet. And I think the applicant just said that it was 3,600. But, and he's saying it isn't a warehouse, but that's what was proposed. I just think any storage or showroom, as was stated at the Planning Commission hearing, storage of materials, bay doors going up means trucks coming in. I just think it's too intense for this area. If it was a professional office only, without a showroom or warehouse or materials being stored, I think that would maybe be conducive to LRO or something else there, but I can't support the intensity of this and the proximity to kids, adults, walking, crossing for the library and Shaw Park. So my motion would be to deny Z27. And that was the Planning Commission's recommendation as well.
Okay, is there a second?
Second.
Any further discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you, Commissioner.
Okay, next case is LUP 21, Edwin Stafford. Requests a temporary land use permit for an antique store and yard sales in land lot 1019 and 1054 in the 19th District. The property is located on the east side of Austell Powder Springs Road, south of Fur Avenue. Is the applicant present? Yeah, the applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to LUP 21? Let the record show there's no one opposed. Would the applicant please come forward and be sworn in?
Good morning.
Good morning.
My name is Edwin Stafford. I'm trying to do an antique shop on Austell Powder Spring Road and a little garage sale or whatever I can put out on weekends. I put everything back up. I shut it down. I try not to have any no outside storage. I want to see if I can stay open if y'all consider it. That's what I want to do up there. No, it's not in nobody's way. You drive up, not going to affect no traffic or anything like that. We keep it clean, cut the grass, we do everything up there where it don't look like it's junk. All I'm trying to do is open up on weekends. If I get Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, or just Saturday and Sunday, it don't matter. As long as I can pay my bills. That's what I'm doing it for. And I sure hope y'all consider that's my life hood right now. And if it's possible, just consider it and look at it and try to understand it. If they do anything to the street, down the road, I can make adjustments, whatever I have to do. I'm not there to create a problem, I'm there to solve a problem. That's all I want to do.
Thank you, sir.
Okay.
Does that conclude your presentation?
Yes,
Okay, thank you.
thank you.
I believe I did not see anyone for opposition, so I'll turn things over to the district commissioner.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like for the applicant, Mr. Stafford, if you wouldn't mind coming back up, please.
Yes, ma'am.
Do you currently reside at the property
Yes.
where you sell? Okay. And how long have you operated your business at this
I've been there
location?
for 6 months now.
You've resided there for 6 months, or you've had the business for 6 months, or both?
I've been there for 6 months. I rented the place.
Okay, so you resided there for 6 months, and have you been selling also your merchandise for 6 months?
What I've been trying to do is do my weekend sales, because when I went down there and put a variance in, they told me, go ahead, it'll be fine,
Okay.
till I come to court. I came on the 2nd, and now I'm back on the 16th.
Okay. Also, I read through the documents, and I read where you have a truck, and there's at least one employee, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
There's one employee that both you
That's-
and both
that-
you?
That's my
Go ahead.
cousin.
Okay,
He helped me out because I can't put all that out by myself right now,
okay.
like I used to.
I hear you. Okay, so you and your cousin, you have a pickup truck. Where do you pick up merchandise to bring back to your location to sell?
Just say if I go to a sale or storage, I buy different things from them and reset it.
Okay. Also, in reviewing the code enforcement complaints, because that's how this case has come before us, it was a code enforcement complaint that dates back to February of this year. And the code enforcement officer, I believe, spoke with you? Does
Yes.
that sound, okay. And it was communicated that a license would be applied for on February 27th, but you still do not have a license, is that correct?
Well, I wanted to make sure I could do the shop inside before I did that.
Okay, so that I'm clear, you don't have a business license either?
At this moment right now.
Okay. Cornelius, can you just put up, I just want to kind of show one of the photographs, and I don't know if you all have received a copy, but this is just one photo that was shared by code enforcement. And in reading the code enforcement complaints, vehicles are parking in the front yard when they
People
visit
to
the
pull up in the
property?
front yard if they want to stop and look at something.
Okay, but they are parking on your grass in the front yard?
No, they park on gravel.
Okay, okay, all right. You mentioned the storage at the end of the evening or at the end of the business day. You store the merchandise. Where do you store it on the property?
On the side, on the left-hand side, and we put doors back across it. None of this be outside after we leave.
Okay, so all of this merchandise is moved indoors?
Yes.
Okay, so there's no merchandise on the outside of the home?
No, no outside storage.
Okay. Well, part of code enforcement's observation is that there is storage or merchandise stored on the outside of the property. I visited the property on Saturday. Well, I drove by the property on Saturday, both during business hours and after, and I observed pretty much what I see here in the picture.
Yes.
And at the end of the operation, at the end of the day, I did observe also merchandise that was stored on the side of the building that was covered in tarp.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, so then are you saying now that there was merchandise stored outside of the home?
No. Once
Okay.
if you come by the end of that day, everything go back inside where you see none of this outside.
Okay,
And the only reason we left the bed outside because it's so heavy, we had to break it back down and put it back in the storage.
okay. So when code enforcement spoke with you, did they explain that you're only allowed to have yard sales, I think it's 3 times
Three
per
times a year.
Okay,
They did explain that to me.
okay, they did.
My question is, why? What I'm doing wrong? I
Right,
put it
it's-
out, I put it back up.
Right,
I
it's-
have no complaints with none of my neighbors.
Well, there has been complaints that we received, but the issue is what you're doing is you're operating a business out of your home, which this is not an allowable business for your property. So that's why we're here today, trying to figure all of this out.
Right, I can go get licensed for an antique shop in the store. I go all around Mayweather, they got shops with antique shops.
I see.
And I go get a license to do that. But I want to hear from y'all how it look to me at this moment.
Right, but your property is not zoned for that use, so that's where we're having a little bit of an issue.
Yes, ma'am, I understand. The house is residential. The fruit stand is commercial.
Right, and the fruit stand that was here before you received a land use permit.
Yes.
And John, if you want to speak to that for a fruit stand, which is very different from hosting a yard
What I'm
sale.
doing
But
now,
if, John,
yes.
if you want to share some information on that.
Yeah, and just to expand on what you said, Commissioner Sheffield, I believe Mr. Smith had a fruit stand out here for a pretty long time, maybe decades. And the fruit stand was kept to the side of the house, and everything was kept neat and clean. And the clients were required to park on the gravel parking lot to the side of the house.
Do you all have any questions for Mr. Stafford? Comments? No? Okay, thank you, sir.
Thank you.
That'll be all. Okay. As I mentioned, the original code enforcement complaint was received on February of 2024, and the tenant was cited for yard sales and outside storage, and it was communicated to code enforcement on February 27th that he would secure a permit. We fast forward to April 5th, another complaint was received for a yard sale with merchandise similar to what we see here. And as I mentioned earlier, I drove past the property over the weekend and I observed the yard sale taking place, and vehicles were parked in the grass in the front yard. I also observed again later in that evening that merchandise was stored outdoors, and based on our code, the only allowable items that are to be stored outdoors are firewood and patio furniture. So there were several code violations at this property. I have received complaints from residences and local businesses about traffic issues and the incompatible use of the proposed business. And while I understand, Mr. Stafford, your point in it being a fruit stand and vegetable stand, that use is not as intense as what we see here. The storage of merchandise in front of a single-family property, unfortunately, and I understand and can appreciate what you're attempting to do with your business, but unfortunately, it is in violation of the county's code. Both the county and the city of Austell are collaborating to enhance that area by developing a trail that will run along Austell Powder Springs Road to connect downtown Powder Springs to downtown Austell. And the purpose or the partnership in that collaboration aims to attract businesses and different amenities to the area to essentially uplift the area. The current use of this business, unfortunately, does not align with the existing character of the area. I do support staff's and planning commission's recommendation for denial, and I am prepared, Madam Chair, to make my motion. I make a motion to deny LUP 21-2024, and I would also like to add for the record that code enforcement will continue to visit the property and issue citations and fines until the property is brought into compliance. And that concludes my motion.
Second.
Is there any discussion? I'll just add, I concur with the commissioner, sir, and I also feel for you when you said that this is your livelihood. Looking at the amount of redevelopment that's occurring in that area around you, I'm hoping that there could be some consideration for the commercial space that's in that community so that you can continue to provide this service, which has enabled you to be able to support your living thus far. Okay, are there any other comments or questions? Okay, we'll call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Okay, yes, we'll take a break until 11 o'clock a.m. Thank you. Commissioners meeting, that's July 16th, 2024. John, can you help cue our next case?
Yes.
Thank you.
Next case is other business item number 38 of 2024, which is to consider a reduction of required public road frontage from 75 feet to 28 feet for lot number 2 for Naushad Ahmad. The property is located on the north side of Hembry Drive in land lot 886 of the 16th district. Is the applicant present? Let the record show the applicant is here. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 38? Please raise your hand. Nine. Okay, let the record show there's 9 people here opposed. All those who wish to address the board for or against, please come forward and be sworn in.
Okay, that would be our applicant and anybody else who's speaking. Please get sworn in.
Good morning, everybody. Let me just tell you, my name is Naushad Ahmed, and I'm here for, in this case, OB 38. This is my first time here at any zoning hearing, so if I'm out of the way, please do let me know. Second thing, I wasn't sure how I'd be able to display what I needed to show over there, so I've got a bunch of printouts, which, if it's okay with you, I can have a gentleman help me with that. On cue, I have picture 1, and so on, I'll let you know. So you put the first one. So having said that, what I did was I just prepared a little background and my reasoning for why I need this reduction. And I'll start with that. So here's the background, just so you know what's going on here. 2357 Hembry Drive. It is a 1.41 acre lot. It's got 143 feet of frontage, and it meets all setbacks, and it has a zoning of R30. This application is about reducing the road frontage to 28 feet and leave the rest of the 115 feet to the proposed lot number 1. The application for the split was filed the same date and hour that I filed for the road frontage reduction. So there's some feedback I've heard, or I believe that they're saying that this is deception. This is not deception. Same time both applications were filed. The new lot number 1, which I've proposed, it meets and exceeds all the county requirements, which is R30. It meets all the setbacks, it meets the road frontage, and will be a 0.7 acre lot. So I guess if you have any questions that I can answer that, otherwise it's pretty clear. The next point is that lot number 2, which is the current lot, which remains the current lot, the frontage I'm proposing will be reduced to 28 feet, but will have no change whatsoever, either in the zoning or the setbacks or any which way. It's exactly the same thing. And also will remain a 0.7 acre lot. Just so you know, from the edge of the driveway going up, number 2, please, second picture. So what you're doing right now is you are looking at, from my house, looking out onto the end of Hembry Drive. And from that point, if you go up at a 30-degree angle, it's literally on a mountain, is where my neighbor's house is at 2351 Hembry Drive. So what I'm referring to right now is that from the edge of the driveway going up, the road is a dilapidated road. It's barely 8 feet wide, maybe plus or minus 1 feet. And it's kind of broken, and it's in a very poor shape, and it goes into the entrance of 2351 Hembry Drive, which is Nicole Soltis. She's here. And like I said, right now it's of no use to my lot, because my lot goes another, once it's broken, anyway, it goes up another 115 feet from the edge of my driveway going up on the right-hand side, which is where 2351 Hembry Drive is. As a side point, 2351 Hembry Drive, which is again the house on the top, their mailbox sits on my property right next to the electric pole. And I've had no problems with that, and I will have no problems with that, hopefully. So why am I splitting? DOT had been claiming that the right-of-way stops immediately before the culvert. If we can go on to the next picture. So there's a culvert which is coming in from Henry Drive. I'm afraid this is not the one. Is it number 3?
That's the order, was it?
Okay, that's fine, okay. Just give me 1 second. No, that's number. Go to the next one, please. So if you just flip it around, please. Just flip it around. Yeah, just flip it the other way around.
This one?
No, one more. Yes. So this is Henry Drive coming into my entrance, and I've got the little notation of 2357 Henry Drive. You see, you turn right, get onto my driveway, which is what you saw. And if you go up, it goes up on the hill to 2351. There's a creek right there on the right-hand side. I have a little drawing over there which says failing or failed culvert head wall. And it goes across to the other end, which again doesn't have a head wall. And this is what happens every single time, perhaps 4 or 5 times a year. And I can't even cross. I have to park my car there and hope for a neighbor coming in a truck to ride the side rail to get to my house. And this is, I built a fairly nice house. So this is the condition of the street. DOT, despite my chasing them, whatever, finally they said, this is not the right of way. It stops right before the culvert. And this is 1.5 years back when I started calling them. I visited them. I sent emails. I chased them. None of my neighbors helped me with that, unfortunately, but I did whatever I had to do. Today, I'm in a situation where they've confirmed and they've said, yes, we will fix up, but we will stop right after the culvert. Which means, again, the area in front of my road is going to be the same condition when it rains starting a week from now. And all this is happening because there's a funnel, which is basically the house, I believe, is 2404 and 2402. The creek runs between these two houses. 2402 and, 1450. 1450 Hembry Station Drive and 2402 Hembry Station Court. So the creek comes in from there, from the right-hand side. That's about a 60-inch pipe, approximately. Comes in, feeds into a 30-inch pipe at the right entrance, and then again goes under the road 30 inches and goes into the main creek and goes further down. The problem is because the 60 inches coming into a 30-inch, that's a funnel. So all the water comes up, there's a whole lot of silt, all kind of stuff happens, frankly, and all that stuff gets laden over there. So that's a bit of a background for you. And this limits access to both my house and my neighbor's house, which is going up the hill. So 18 months of me single-handedly chasing and meeting DOT in person, on phone, and emails has finally resulted in them accepting that the creek is on the right-of-way. So thank God they've said, yes, it's on the right-of-way. We're going to fix it. Apparently, August 15th is what they told me, ballpark, 6 weeks from the time I met them last. And they said by that time it'll be done. I'm still waiting for that to happen. And just so you know, I met Corey Harrison, who's the maintenance superintendent from DOT, who's promised. It's going to happen by August 15th, ballpark, around that time. I spoke to, met, emails, whatever, Justin Sadler, who is a GIS analyst, Richard Van Gilder, who's an engineer, Rafi Ali, who's a right-of-way manager, Brandon Legace, Dallas Kane, who's a divisional manager. I left messages. Josh, it's a bunch of people that I did. Anyway, and there's a reason I'm telling you all this. However, like I said, they will not repair or rebuild the road immediately after the culvert, as it's not in the right-of-way. They've told me clearly. So the reason I went ahead and filed the application, I had no interest in filing the application. The reason I filed it because I was told by one of my service providers that my neighbor had laid claim to the street that goes up to her house, which is from the edge of my driveway, going up about 115 feet, which is my frontage, that I'm asking for the new lot. Because that doesn't belong to the DOT, it does not belong to her, it does not belong to me. So what my understanding is that she's trying to get it deeded to herself, and about 6 months back, maybe 8 months back, she had tried to put up a fence on my road frontage of 115 feet, and I told her, you can't do that because that's my lot. I mean, it doesn't make sense. So all those things have forced my hand into now applying for a road split, so I don't have a problem going forward, where if she gets it deeded, I will not have a public road frontage, and I will never, ever be able to do anything with that piece of land. So how do we fix it? So basically, it's 3 things that can be done from my perspective. There are only 3 options. Number 1, DOT to repair from the culvert onwards all the way to the entrance of 2357 Hembry and going up the 30-degree angle to 2351. And it's not happening, as far as I'm concerned, because they've said point blank. Unless something changes or something changed in the last 2 minutes, They're not doing it. Second option, my neighbor, which is 235 on Henry Drive, she fixes the access to the road going up, because all said and done, anybody comes to my house or I come to my house, I see a lousy piece of road, frankly, out there. And it's just not, it doesn't suit the neighborhood, it should not be there. It should be a regular, proper road. And she's categorically told me about 6 months back that she will not fix it unless she has ownership to the section of the road leading up to the house, which is my 115 feet frontage. She also wanted to put a fence, which I told you before, and I had explained to her that she'll be in the wrong in doing so. And now she's trying to get, from my understanding, to get the road frontage deeded to her, since DOT has denied a right of way for itself. DOT says it's not ours. Now, there's an electric pole. If you can go to 4B, please, the next picture. We'll go to the next one. Another one. Yes, sir. So now there's an electric pole that you see. Now, once again, let me explain to you what's going on here. So you're coming in on Henry Drive. On the right hand is my house at 2357. If you go up 30 degrees, or whatever the degrees are, approximately 30 degrees, it goes to 2351. I've circled the electric pole over there. So this electric pole is at the entrance to 2357 Henry Drive, which is my house. And that area, starting from the culvert, going all the way to my entrance, and further down to 2357, is always and was always pitch black dark after 7 o'clock. And the culvert over there, which if it overflows, my teenage kids would have fallen in the creek, and this is exactly what I told DOT, and they will confirm that to you, not once, several times. So what I did was, I basically, I asked DOT, I said, why don't you put a light, there's a pole over there, why don't you put a light over there? And I didn't understand the process for how it's done. So I said, get it done. They said, we can't do that because, it's not in the right of way. So I called Cobb EMC, and I spoke to some 4 engineers over there. Finally, I had them put a street light over there. And now the area is well lit, so that's taken care of. But the problem is that now
Excuse me, sir, your time has run.
All right, okay, fine. So just one line more, if I may add very quickly.
I'm sorry, there isn't additional time for presentation, but let me just talk to opposition here.
Sure.
Because I did notice that there were a number of speakers. I can give him additional time and give you additional time if you're amenable to that. I gave him additional 2 minutes. I can give you an additional 2 minutes as well, so we can conclude his points. Okay, thank you. All right, go ahead, sir.
All right, so very quickly, if I have 2 minutes, is that the only option that's left to fix up this problem is for me to be able to go ahead, split the lot, fix the road, and hand it over to DOT for further maintenance. And having said that, I've got a couple of other slides you can quickly go through. So this is a letter of support I've got from my neighbor who's 3 houses away. Next one. This is another neighbor who's about 6 houses away, approximately. Next one. This is another one, which is from, I believe, 5 houses away. Next one. This is my immediate neighbor. It's an email. And if you go to the next one, that's where the letter is. So he's enclosed the letter in this email. This email is not relevant. Go to the next one, please. Yes, so this is the last one, and this is my immediate neighbor, so, on the other side. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, we'll hear from opposition. Do you want to set the clock so that they
I set it for 11 minutes. That's what, we'd given him 1 more minute.
Yeah, 1 more minute, okay. So I see there are about 4 speakers, so we'll have 11 minutes. Pardon me? Oh, just 2, okay, so just be mindful of each other's time.
Yes.
Okay,
Yes, ma'am.
thank you. And there's a clock that should be up there for you
I
to
see it.
Okay, great.
Commissioners, I represent Nicole Sotis as an opponent to the variance request. This is not about the maintenance of a private driveway or a county road or a right-of-way. This is about a variance that has been requested.
All right, sir, can you state your name for the record,
Yes,
please?
ma'am. My name is Patrick Dodson. I represent Nicole Sotis. I'm with the firm of Jacoma, Robertson, Dodrell in Buckhead. My client, Nicole Sotis, lives at 2351, which, if you see the slide before you, 2351 is at the end of Hembry Drive. 2357 is Mr. Ahmed's property, and 2361 is a property that his LLC recently sold to the current owner of 2361. I would also like to point out again that if everyone would stand that's in opposition to this variance, please. Some of these people will go ahead and speak today, but all these people oppose this variance for very good reasons. One, And the point is, the main point here is 2357 Hembry is a current conforming lot of record in Cobb County. The application for the variance to reduce the road frontage is not necessary. Now, we were not aware that Mr. Ahmad had filed a subdivision plat or a plat review process, plat review application is what I believe it's called in Cobb County. But for the record, my client is objecting to that subdivision plat. Now, the fact of the matter is that 2357 and 2361 Hembry were all one property barely 3 years ago. Mr. Ahmad's LLC, Black Ruby Properties LLC, was the owner of what was then 2361 Hembry Road. He sought a subdivision plat and received a subdivision plat for 2357 and 2361. But it was in his LLC. So he transfers 2361 or sold it to someone. He then, by quitclaim deed, transferred 2357 to his trust, which I believe would be he and his wife. He has applied, Mr. Ahmad has applied for a variance. He is not the owner of the property. The application is therefore deficient. There is not an affidavit from the trust saying that he has authority to seek this variance. That's just a procedural argument. Now, looking at this plat, which was the original plat, I do not believe that in the collective wisdom and knowledge of the county board and the county planning staff would have ever approved a subdivision of 2.5 acres of property into 3 lots, especially into the configuration that he wants to do now, a front house and a back house. So he said today that he's filed an application for a subdivision. Well, to get a variance in this county, you have to show something unique about that requires the variance. There is nothing unique about 2357. 2357 is conforming. He's got sufficient road frontage. The only reason that he is seeking a variance is because he wants to subdivide this property, putting a house on that front lot. And this is a wonderful artist rendering of what this would look like. The 2 yellow sticky notes are houses, soon-to-be houses that he plans to build or that will be built on the adjacent property and the front property. So what you have is an alter ego of Mr. Ahmad subdividing the original 2361 into 2 lots, transferring it to a trust, and now Mr. Ahmad individually is here seeking to, again, well, not today, but seeking a variance so that he can subdivide the properties, so he now has 2 lots. There are multiple reasons why the county should not permit this. Now, this is what Hembry Road looks like as you approach his driveway. I'm not going to talk to you about the stormwater. Obviously, there's stormwater problems there. Mr. Ahmad just showed you the stormwater problems. But this is the county has disavowed this section of road. They call it a private drive. There is a 50-foot right-of-way there that ends about right where this slide starts, but it's definitely substandard, whatever it is. Again, the county has disavowed ownership, and they do not maintain it. Now, again, the code provides that, and this, I know this is really small, but do y'all have it in front of you? That one, the old adage is the applicant for a variance cannot claim entitlement to a variance for a hardship that he's created himself. Again, the 2 lots, 2357 to 2361, especially 2357, or 2351, I'm sorry, 2357, does not require a variance. He has road frontage, if you want to call it that. He doesn't need a variance. He only needs a variance because he's trying to subdivide the property. There is nothing unique about the current status of 2357 that would enable this board to grant the variance. Secondly, by granting this variance, you are now creating non-conforming lots. We know that the code for subdivisions says that the goal of planning is not to create nonconformities, but to cure nonconformities. That's the second reason this shouldn't be granted. Third, and I've said this subdivision, you would create a flag lot in the back, a quote conforming lot in the front, but the only reason is so he can have another lot that he can sell and build a house on. That is not a unique condition. That is not a hardship. If that were the standard, then everyone in this county would be subdividing properties of sufficient size to build houses in the front and houses in the back. Also, when you do a subdivision as he is planning, then what is the front? What is the side? What is the back? What is the orientation of the property going to be? What he says it is? Well, no one knows because you don't subdivide properties in this manner. Now, also, what has not been expressed at all is that the original plat, which this is the original plat, 1952, I believe. So the lots in question are the three on the left. But what is not apparent here is there is a 60-foot setback as a covenant on this plat that was approved by the county. His proposed building plan only has a 50-foot setback. Also, in the small handwritten notes are restrictions as to the side setbacks. It's not 12 feet, it's 15 feet. We assert that this restriction, this covenant runs with the land. I understand he got a building permit on the upper lot, already built the house that encroaches on that setback. We weren't retained then, but suffice it to say that this site plan shows a 12-foot side setback and a 50-foot front setback. That's not appropriate. For that reason alone, the variance request should be denied. The last argument that I will make is very short. We believe that our client has not been provided due process. We believe that the controlling portions of the Cobb County ordinance regarding the BZA Board of Zoning Appeals requires frontage variances to go to the BZA, even though the BZA can't make recommendations because that is for the Board of Commissioners to make. We believe that the procedure requires at least the BZA to look at it and then forward it on to this board. But again, for these reasons and the reasons contained in our opposition statement, this variance must be denied. It's inappropriate. There is no uniqueness about this property that requires a variance, and frankly, the subdivision is not before you. And I will yield the time to the additional people who wish to speak. Thank you.
Thank you. There's a minute and 23 seconds left.
Good morning. I'll be as quick as I can here. I'm Shelley Carey. I'm the resident on the south side of Hembry Drive there at 2402 Hembry Station Court. Lived in our house 25 years. I just want to speak to how I know the zoning board, these things are in place to ensure consistency in community. This is definitely not consistent with what exists within our area. This is also at the end of a dead-end street, and we have emergency vehicles that actually, when Mr. Ahmed's house was being built, there were some flatbed trucks that blocked the entrance to 25 different houses in the area. We had a terminally ill neighbor at the time. This is going to increase density in that area, going from one house that originally existed there to 3. So you're adding more traffic, blind spots there. There's no doubt that there's issues with the creek and needing to get that to be managed. But we also have the addition of impervious surface there, which is also going to increase the flood waters there by not letting that water soak in, as it normally would. I plead with you to vote no on this variance request, along with the other 9 representatives of the families that are within the subdivision today. Thank you.
Thank you. We are out of time. I will turn things over to John. John, if you can give us a recommendation.
Madam Chair and Board, the staff would recommend the Board approve the request, subject to the public road frontage be reduced on lot number 2 to 28 feet. Number 2, subject to water and sewer comments contained in the other business packet, subject to the fire department comments contained in the other business packet, and lastly, subject to the Cobb DOT comments contained in the other business packet.
Okay. Thanks, John. Commissioner Richardson.
Thank you. I have several questions that I'm looking for some clarity on, and I'm going to attempt to direct this in the right. Looking at legal and John, there was a question brought up around the ability or authority to submit an application. Do we validate or verify that for as far as ownership and who places the application, whether or not they're qualified to place an application?
Well, the applicant is the owner of the trust that owns this property. So he signed as the trustee for the trust for this application.
Okay, so everything is good and
Yes.
checked out there. Second question, I am a bit confused. Are these lots already divided? Because it's notated here with Lot 1 versus Lot 2, which makes me perceive that these are already approved divided.
Okay, and lot 1 and lot 2 on the plan are not divided yet.
Okay.
It's
so this-
proposed to be divided.
Okay, so this is just a notation and anticipation of a split. And this is an approval of reducing the frontage in the case that the lots are split.
Correct, for lot number 2.
Okay. The decision for the lot being split, where does that live?
It rests with
Is
the
it-
Board of Commissioners.
Is it in this application? I'm just trying to be clear on what,
Well,
or is there a separate application?
no, this is the application. In 2018, the board changed the zoning code to only allow the Board of Commissioners the authority to approve lot size variances and row reduction variances only. So the BZA cannot even hear those.
Right, I'm just asking, does this application include both decisions of the lot split? Since they're not split yet,
No,
does it
it-
include
it-
the lot split and?
And this application is only for the road frontage reduction
Just the road
because they need
frontage.
that to proceed through the lot split process.
Excellent, okay, thank you. And then there was something brought up about the previous plat with 60-foot setbacks versus 50-foot setbacks. Is that something that was reviewed by staff?
Yes, and when you have a grandfather plat like that, the county always adheres to what the county code is. So if it's 60 on an old grandfather plat, then the county has always taken a position that they can reduce it down to what the county code is.
Understood. Okay. Sure, yes, go ahead, sorry.
So John, approving the lot size reduction would allow him to split the lot?
It's a road frontage reduction. They meet the lot size on both lots, which is 30,000 square feet. This is only for road frontage reduction on lot number 2. Lot number 1 meets the 75 feet of public road frontage.
And would they have a shared driveway from
Yes.
Hembry Road?
Correct.
Okay. So they're in an R30 subdivision, and these two lots would both have 30,000 square feet.
Correct.
Okay.
Other,
No, my question was regarding the shared driveway, but you already asked it, so I'm good.
okay.
So John, this, this is really bothering me. So this is a platted subdivision from 50, 60 years ago?
Yes.
That obviously all of the lots look to be similar from the map that we showed. I'm guessing they're all going to be around 60,000 square feet. Just just guesstimating based on the one plat that we saw.
It's kind of hard for me to tell, Commissioner Gambrill, because the plat that was shown by the opposition's attorney, all those lots are pretty long and skinny.
Yeah.
And almost none of the lots on this road are in that configuration currently. They're all different shapes and sizes. The only lot that probably conforms is the very last one, probably for 2351, but everything else has been replatted to be a different shape and size.
So this isn't the first time, because two parts to my question was, why did we put this as R30 if all the lots were larger than R30 lots? And I understand grandfathering, but, why didn't we show what it truly was? And then my second question now is, are you telling me that, because from the GIS map here, it does not appear that other lots within the platted subdivision have been split?
If Cornelius can put the plat back up from the opposition attorney, I think it shows them as all pretty straight and narrow. And to answer your other question, Commissioner Gambrill? No.
The 1950s plat. Yeah, that was opposition's presentation. Not yet. No. There will be a point in time. Thank you. Thank you.
And that's the 1954 plat. And just to answer the first part of your question, Commissioner Gambrill,
These are just-
the property was adopted R30 by the board. Okay. And just to answer the first part of your question, Commissioner Gambrill, the property was adopted R30 by the Board of Commissioners when they adopted zoning in 1972. So, there's lots of cases where the zoning district assigned doesn't necessarily match up to what was actually on the ground.
Right, and I understand that, but I guess where I'm struggling with this is it's a platted subdivision that we are now looking to split in half or allow additional homes to be added. That is where I'm struggling with this, is it's a platted subdivision, right? They knew what size the lots were, they came in, and now essentially we're allowing them to build twice as many homes. There we go.
Okay, and up on the screen right now is the original 1954 subdivision plat that shows all the lots kind of long and narrow. If you compare that to today's GIS, there's almost no lots that match that configuration. So Cornelius, can you flip back to the GIS map?
And that will be one of the questions I hold for opposition to just kind of speak to the comparison as well after we finish.
And I have a follow-up question for John regarding the platted subdivision. Is it outside of code or not within code to split a lot that's in a platted subdivision? Because that's obviously going to be the second request here.
The code does permit it. So if you look at the GIS map where it says Hembry Station Court, does the board see that on the south side of the road? That used to be lots 54 through 58 on the 54 plat. So many of the lots have been reconfigured on the street to something else.
John, when were those homes constructed?
Hembry Station. Let's see.
There are 15.
It looks like 1986, mid-'80s probably.
And I'm not sure if you can answer this question, but if that was part of the original platted subdivision, why didn't it come in to the board for approval and a revised site plan be approved?
It probably did come into the board, Commissioner, because it looks like that's zoned R15.
So why are we not finding the revised site plan and plat for this development?
It's the proposed plan that's contained in the other business packet that shows lots 1 and 2.
Right, but I guess if the county took action back in 84, 86 for the construction of Hembry Station Court, if this had originally been zoned R30 and they went in and rezoned it to R15, a new site plan and plat would have had to been recorded.
Correct.
So I guess, why wasn't that then submitted with this application?
Opposition was only presenting the original, not any adjustments since then. So we're not gonna, someone else would have to show that if we wanted to see it.
But he didn't purchase the home with that plat that he signed, because if he did, then he purchased something that wasn't correctly recorded. So
We don't know what's on file today. We know that they showed something from the 1950s, but we don't know what's filed at the court records today at this board, because that was not a part of a presentation.
John, I'm going to ask for you to please help us here, or our county attorney. We have documents that are before us today and an application before us today. There are questions about past administrative actions. What should we be referring to for this matter before us right now?
You know, as far as the 1954 plat, you know, the board can definitely take that into consideration, but that's not the controlling document of this property since it's changed so much. You know, there's plenty of plats out there that are really old where the board amends conditions to allow different configurations. For instance, on today's other business agenda, we had 2 Commissioner Burrow's districts on Joyner Avenue, OB 39 and OB 40. One of those lots was 3 lots in 1926 and is replatted back into 1 lot sometime in the past. The other one, where the applicant was actually present, that was 2 little lots in 1926 that was combined into 1 lot that was only 5,700 square feet. So over time, you know, property can be reconfigured. There's nothing that prohibits that.
Okay. What are the controlling conditions for us to consider today?
What you want to take into consideration is the impact on the adjacent neighbors. You want to take into consideration the weight of the county comments, especially DOT and fire, which have some pretty heavy comments for the applicant to meet, because they are going to have to rebuild the road in front of the property to county standards, including possibly raising it up.
Okay.
And John, if I can just, because I think that's a critical piece to this, tag on to what you're saying, is this is a private road. I think it was coming across to me that the applicant was only doing this request thinking that the county was going to then improve the road. For clarity, the applicant will have to do all the road improvements because it is a private road.
No, the right-of-way in front of this property is public right-of-way platted from 1954, but it's treated as a private driveway because it's only 12 to 15 feet wide. So he's got to improve the road section all the way to the end of the property to county standards.
But I thought we also had testimony that Hembry Drive is considered a private drive. Is that correct? Or I don't know if I need to be asking DOT.
We could ask DOT, but what I'm seeing on GIS, it's platted county right-of-way. It may not be maintained by the county because there's no county road there that meets county standards, but it's county right-of-way. And I can let DOT, address that further.
Yeah. It's not the entire road, it's a portion that's being treated that way.
looks like
But we will have that validated, so I'll have you come up.
It looks like
if
the
you want
county,
to
the
speak to
county
that
right away
tonight.
dead ends into Miss Sotis' property. That's where it ends.
Thank you, Lahia, for approaching.
Okay.
Ligia Florim, DOT. And I don't have the right-of-way plat with me, or I have not researched that. However, yes, I agree that the GIS says that it is a public right-of-way up to the end of the property in question, but the road is not up to standards throughout the frontage, and that's what we know. But it is a local road right-of-way, public right-of-way. And I can confirm that if you need me to with the plat.
Okay. Then, yes. Yeah, I was going to ask a little bit about the shared driveway. I know that's a concern, if that's something that's been looked at with regards to DOT comments, because I know most of this focused on the road itself and the improvements that need to be made, but the shared driveway impact, do we have an idea of that?
So we do recommend the shared driveway for the two lots if approved. However, they do have enough frontage, I believe, to keep the minimum distance between the two driveways of 50 feet between cargo return to cargo return. That's what our comments are saying to meet the standards. But we do recommend a shared driveway if possible.
Thank you. Other DOT questions? Okay, and I do want to be clear that these are improvements that would be taken on by the applicant, as listed here in the description or in the comments. The other question that I have, it was mentioned, the applicant shared that it would then be given over to DOT to maintain. Can you just shed some light on what that looks like in that process?
And that's typically how it works. They build it to the standards, and that is part of the code as well, and not only for this case, but in all cases. If the road is substandard, we make that comment that the road along their frontage needs to be improved to meet the standards. And yes, and then later on will be dedicated to the county for maintenance.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Excuse me, Commissioner Richardson, I hate to do this, but I would like to take a quick 5-minute recess. I think there's some clarifying information that needs to be shared with you.
Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, do we?
I'm sorry? No. All right, we'll resume our zoning hearing.
Okay, so there was certainly an intent to continue with a line of questions. That being said, council has made it apparent that there are some additional inquiries that are occurring, by which we will need to, I'll need to offer up a motion to continue this to the next zoning hearing so that we can resolve those discrepancies and we'll hear it at a later time. So my motion, my motion on this will be to continue this to the next zoning hearing. I'll confer with the applicant in opposition if there are any questions that you have for me. That is my motion.
Second.
Thank you.
Okay, is there any additional discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
It's a hold. Apologies. It's
Just
okay
for
though?
clarifying.
Okay.
Do we need to amend the motion, John?
Yes.
To consider it a hold?
Yeah.
Okay,
Let's go ahead and amend it.
all right.
Okay, I would like to amend.
I move to amend it. Go ahead.
Move to amend my motion to being a hold until the next zoning hearing.
Your second agrees.
All right, any additional discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Thank you.
Okay, and item last on today's agenda is other business item number 43 of 2024, which is to consider a settlement of litigation for Aquas Viva Central Familiar de Adoracion, Inc., regarding rezoning case Z9 of 2023. The property is located on the north side of South Gordon Road, east of Sterling Drive, and land lot 386 in 412 of the 18th District. The applicant is present. Is there anyone here opposed to other business item number 43? Got one. Okay, let the record show there's one person opposed. All those who wish to address the board for or against this case, please come forward and be sworn in.
You can begin whenever you're ready.
Good morning, Debbie Blair with the County Attorney's Office. This is a settlement of litigation from the denial of a zoning application from July of this year. The parties have, the suit was brought in Superior Court and it has been removed to federal court as the lawsuit was brought under a federal law, the RLUIPA, Religious Land Use and Institutionalized Persons Act. But the parties have worked together and we have come to an agreement that is before you all right now. And I believe the STIP letter and the site plan was provided to you. And I'll let Mr. Moore go into a little more detail with it. But I'll be available for any questions if you have them.
Okay, thank you. John, is it appropriate for Mr. Moore to present at this time, or Bill? Yes. Okay, yes. All right, thank you. So just for clarification for our opposition, there'll be 10 minutes for the applicant and then 10 minutes for opposition. Thank you. Okay, whenever you're ready.
Good morning, and thank you, Madam Chair and board members. I'm Kevin Moore, and pleased to represent Aquas Vivas Church. I'm shortening the name so that I don't butcher it, but pleased to represent the church in this matter. This is, comes to you as a proposed settlement of litigation, so the remarks I will give to you today will be in that vein, and not like a typical type of rezoning or other type of presentation to you. As Ms. Blair reported to you, this case is in federal court, and certainly it is one that both on behalf of Cobb County and on behalf of the church has been litigated thoroughly to this point. But we have been able to have what we believe have been productive discussions to make a proposal to you that will settle this lawsuit. If approved, according to the settlement, the lawsuit would be dismissed immediately on behalf of the church. A couple of reminders just to take you back. This property is almost 11 acres. located off of South Gordon Road. It is proposed for development as a church. A couple of things to remind you of in terms of its past history that I think are relevant, just in terms of the overall consideration. Number one, this 11 acres previously was zoned to the RA5 category for development of a 46-unit subdivision on this property. So this property was going to be developed in full from front to back with homes, 46 of them. That was done not too terribly long ago and was actually a consent agenda item. Before this board was constituted, it was not in this board's lifetime. Subsequent to that, a rezoning application was brought forward under your prior set of ordinances, and a Buddhist meditation center was approved for a 3,000 square foot Buddhist meditation center for this property. So a religious use of this property was approved in 2014. The subject application came to you by this church by way of the fact that the property is zoned R20 with conditions for approval of the Buddhist meditation center. What was before you, though, at the time of your earlier consideration, I want to point out the differences between what you considered then and what we've proposed now, which I think also helped to explain, I believe, where there has been concessions and considerable concessions in terms of monetary concessions by the church to put forth this proposal. Can you go out just a little bit? Yeah. Just to orient you, this is South Gordon, and you see this almost 11 acres is in somewhat of a odd shape, just in terms of it has a long neck before it opens up. The proposal is for a maximum 6,800 square foot church, so not a very large church building. Keeping in mind this was approved for a meditation center of 3,000 square feet in approximately this location. What was presented to you before, though, was a site plan that did not incorporate the minimum landscape buffers and undisturbed buffers that would be required for purposes of a religious or a church at this location. This site plan has now been altered and revised so that what's before you as a settlement does meet all of the buffer requirements for fully buffering this site, and that buffer would include both landscape, where landscape is necessary, and undisturbed buffer where we do not have development, primarily in all of this location here for adjoining owners, would be left totally undisturbed. And we've accounted for that. That would be a determination made by the Cobb County arborist to ensure that there's appropriate and full natural screening. If not, we would be adding landscaping. One of the other important components of this site was also from a transportation improvement standpoint, that is the intersection and the access from South Gordon Road. Previously, the proposal that came to you did not include an agreement or a proposal to have and install a left-hand turn lane, as well as a full deceleration lane or taper, as recommended by Cobb County Department of Transportation. This proposal comes to you with that agreement to install a full left turn lane, as well as deceleration lane or taper, as determined by Cobb DOT, which is a significant transportation and road improvement and access improvement for this location that was not included in your consideration before. In addition, we've also altered the site plan so that we have full buffers along this neck for the entry road, again, to ensure that there is not a variance to your code provisions as it relates to proper buffering for this proposal. All of this has been included in the proposed settlement condition letter. That letter is fully now dated July 12th of 2024, is the final version of that settlement letter for your reference. Again, we think that this proposal brings to you concessions on behalf of the church, which are costly concessions on behalf of the church, in order to be at this location. Remind you that your planning commission in the prior application recommended approval of this application. at that time. And this time, we think, though, that this application arrives to you as a proposed settlement. We think there's been great discussion on behalf of the legal team for the county, as well as us on behalf of the church. We think that has led to what we believe to be a reasonable settlement, given the issues at hand, in a reasonable manner in which to resolve this case, so that further litigation expenses of that and the risk of outcomes can be avoided, so that we can agree today. I'm happy to answer any questions that you may have. There's also representatives from the church here as well, and we respectfully request your full approval of this proposed settlement of litigation. Thank you.
Thank you. Was there anyone else here to speak in support of this? All right, we'll now hear from opposition.
Yes, I'm Steve Young, speaking on behalf of Mapleton Improvement Coalition. I understand that this is, settled in terms of litigation, but what I'd like to do is use this opportunity to ask the board to reflect on the ordinance that allowed this to occur in the first place, and in specifically that areas of low intensity should be excluded from the ordinance, because when you put churches or other houses of worship in an area like this, they naturally grow in use and intensity to reflect poorly upon the neighborhood as a whole. We understand that, and we agree that houses of worship provide valuable services, but a lot of these services, such as schools, daycares, and the like, are high-intensity uses and really don't fit well in the character of a low-intensity neighborhood. And even though this particular application isn't, going to be using that, or at least presently aren't going to be using it, we don't know what's going to happen in the future, nor do we know whether or not that the applicant itself is going to be the resident in perpetuity in this area. Churches go out of business, they move. Frequently the land that was once used for this will end up in somebody else's hands. This was a Buddhist meditation center. That didn't come about. It's now something else. So, we zone the land. We don't zone the applicant. So we really don't know what's going to happen. And once this designation is put on this land, it's there, and someone else could move in whose needs and requirements are not the same. So, and that also degrades the quality of the surrounding area. So we really think that maybe the ordinance itself just needs to be looked at, so that this kind of activity won't happen again. Thank you.
Thank you. I believe that concludes opposition. This is a matter of settlement. I don't perceive we'll need to get staff's opinion. John, what is your recommendation? Do you want to weigh in, or just go to the commissioner?
Well, the staff normally does not make recommendations on settlements, since they're agreements between the board and the applicant. So at this point, I'll just ask the board to start to deliberate the facts at hand.
Okay, thank you, John.
Thank you.
Commissioner Sheffield?
Thank you, Chair. Well, we've discussed this in exec. Thank you, Debbie and Kevin, and I believe the applicants are here as well. My questions have been pretty much answered throughout this negotiation of litigation and also in exec session. So I do not have any follow-up questions, but I'll turn it over to you all in the event that you do.
And the stip letter from Mr. Moore.
Yep.
From July 12th, number 2, on page 2, it says the church building shall contain a maximum of 6808 net square feet with a maximum of 300 seating. Did that change from the original proposal, or was it always 6,800? 6808?
As far as the building size, Commissioner?
Square footage?
It was originally submitted, when the application was submitted at 10,000 square feet. And then Planning Commission suggested that it be 5,000 square feet, but when it was before you in July, they had looked at it and could not go any smaller than 6,800 square feet for the new building. So that's where that number came from. So that's what was presented to you all in executive as far as the size of the building.
Okay.
But I think her question is, it's 6808.
Yes, I'm sorry, yes. Okay.
No, well, my question was, did they reduce that from the original?
From the original
with this-
application,
In the
yes.
negotiations with settlement?
No.
Okay. So Planning Commission recommended 5,000 when it was brought before us before, and they were at 10,000. And
They
now we're
originally requested 10,000 square feet, yes.
Okay. And I'm not sure where if you could go back to the site plan. Are there two buildings, one for the meditation and one for the church?
No, this is solely for the church building. The meditation center was a prior zoning, and these, whatever is approved here as far as the stipulations, will replace that zoning on the property.
So it's just the one building that,
Correct.
in the shape of a cross? Okay.
Well, that's the interior. The shaded area that you're looking at is the interior. So the building is a square building, but
Right.
they just shaded the interior
Okay.
in the cross shape.
No.
Okay. I do have one question perhaps for you, Debbie. In the opposition's comments, they refer to possible changes of use and of ownership. And for this settlement of litigation, it's for this particular use and for this particular applicant. Are there any limitations as far as the use and the applicant changing over time?
This application is not submitted as this applicant only. This is for the zoning of the property itself. That can be done, but that was certainly not something that was considered in this instance.
Yes, I don't remember us discussing that.
And actually, that was one of my questions this morning, if a condition can be added for this applicant and this applicant only. But where I need legal's help is if a future applicant is a place of worship, for example, how do we structure that in the stipulations, if we can at all?
If you put on that it is for, the zoning is for, these conditions are for this applicant only, then any future applicants would have to come back before this board to change that condition. So I'm going to assume, John, that's going to be an OB?
It would be an OB, but, you know, the city of Mapleton, it may be under their purview at that point in time.
Sure, you're right.
That's interesting. Because my thought is, you know, right now we're approving, I think, is 300 seats. And, you know, if it increases, and traffic is a concern, not just for myself, but also for the neighbors in the community. But let's say over time, because there's clearly enough land here to build, but over time it increases by another 300 seats. Does that have to come back before the board? Would that require another traffic study? How would that work?
The condition is for 300 seats. I mean, the settlement letter that is before you all is for a 6808 square foot building with seating for 300.
Okay.
So if that changes, then it would have to come back before the board.
Right, even with ownership, I just want to make all of this clear because, you know, there are residents that could not join today, so I'm trying to
And
get
actually-
those questions answered in the event they review the video.
I need to clarify, John raised the issue that this is indeed inside the city of Mableton.
Yes.
So as soon as they take over zoning, Cobb County has no no right to go in there, no jurisdiction to go into. So if we do this today,
And we're putting
Mableton could
restrictions
take
on
over
it.
zoning at
Okay.
any time this year, so we would lose the jurisdiction over the property. So
Yeah.
it would be a Mableton issue.
Right, okay,
As far as changing.
all right, thanks for that clarification.
I would also contend, though, that restricting it would be, to this applicant would be too restrictive. It was already approved for, and they purchased it, it was already approved for a religious institution, albeit a smaller one on this location. So I would suggest that you not restrict it to just this applicant, but it is restricted, and I think appropriately, to just this use.
Yes, gotcha, okay.
Okay, Commissioner.
So, well, now that it'll be in Mableton, this may not apply, but this is for a church. So if in the future they wanted to add daycare or preschool, they would have to get a permit to do that? If it were still Cobb County?
If you recall, this is a special exception use in R20. And I can let John speak to this a little more fully, but churches may have a daycare, but there are certain conditions that need to be met for the daycare. I don't believe it's a LUP if they meet the conditions in the special exception use code.
That is correct. You know, it's pretty standard for a church to have a daycare for their members only. So, you know, that would be allowed as a part of the church.
But that would impact the traffic too, but, okay. That's all I had.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you, Debbie. Okay, although there's no opposition here, I received some opposition by email, so I just want to read a few things in the record for those residents that may go back and review the video. Pardon? Oh, I'm sorry, Meg is in opposition. My apologies, thinking about the last case. But at any rate, thank you everyone who have joined us today and shared your comments. To provide some background on this application, as Debbie indicated, the initial request from the applicant was to develop a one-story, 10,000 square foot church with a potential expansion of 8,000 square feet, bringing the total square footage to 18,000 square feet. And again, this is on a 10.3 acre parcel. That application at the time, which was July of last year, I think it was communicated that it was July of this year, but it was actually July of 2023. But that application was denied by 4-1 vote, in part because of the traffic concerns and at the time the applicant's unwillingness to install a left turn lane to help mitigate those issues. The R20 zoning category allows for uses beyond single-family residential dwellings, including special exceptions for churches and other places of worship. But it is important for the applicant to understand that the community is not opposed to the church itself, but rather it's proposed or opposed to the proposed location. The site is on a 2-lane road and is classified on South Gorton and is classified by DOT standards as a major collector and over time can significantly impact traffic. In July 2023, the applicant testified that there are no plans to increase the size of the congregation, but the new property was purchased due to space limitations of the previous location, which means that that location was outgrown. While I believe that a place of refuge and solace is important for any community, I also recognize that growth is inevitable for any church, or at least for most churches. I just urge the applicant to consider the neighbors when planning events and gatherings and to be mindful of how increased traffic might affect the community. And with that, Chair, I'm prepared to make a motion unless there's additional comments from you all? No? Okay. I make a motion to approve OB 43, 2024 with the following conditions. Subject to the letter of agreeable stipulations and site plan from Kevin Moore, dated July 12, 2024. Elevations to be approved by the district commissioner. Landscaping to be approved by the district commissioner. Lighting to be approved by the district commissioner. And all other staff comments and recommendations not otherwise in conflict. And I'm going to pause there because I need clarification from legal if I also need to make reference to comments of Z9 of 2023 to be included in the staff comments.
To the extent that they're not in conflict, that would be appropriate.
Okay. Okay, and all other staff comments and recommendations to include Z9 of 2023 that are not otherwise in conflict.
Second.
Okay, any further discussion? Call the question. The motion carries 5-0. Commissioners, I believe that was the last matter on our zoning hearing. Our hearing today is now concluded. Thank you.